Chapter 13:16. Struggle for the throne. Give me this treasure, and I'll let you die in one piece, Zone Wang said as he stared at Yang Hongwu's heavenly palace of destruction. You think you can take my destruction, Heaven Palace? Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. What arrogance! Leave my corpse intact. I like to see how you're going to leave my corpse intact. Yang Hongwu wasn't afraid of this fellow's arrogance. If he couldn't withstand it, he could just run away. However, this bastard actually wanted Yang Hongwu to give him the heavenly palace of destruction in exchange for leaving his corpse intact. How could Yang Hongwu swallow this anger? Although his cultivation base had not recovered, he was once an invincible great emperor. An invincible great emperor naturally had the dignity of an invincible great emperor. You don't know what's good for you. Let's go together and kill him, Zone Wang said coldly. Lin Laosan and the others also knew how precious this treasure was. Since it was able to block Zone Wang's sky-breaking shuttle, it was obvious that this treasure in Yang Hongwu's hands was not simple. They also wanted it, but they knew that since Zone Wang wanted it, they had nothing to do with it. However, as long as they helped Zone Wang obtain this treasure, Zone Wang would definitely not treat them unfairly. Therefore, after Zone Wang gave the order, Lin Laosan and the others rushed toward Yang Hongwu. Rise! Yang Hongwu shouted again, and another array formation appeared. Bai Yunjian's eyes widened, as did Lin Laosan and the others. They didn't expect Yang Hongwu to be able to set up another array in an instant after two of his arrays were broken. Such a method was too heaven-defying. Junior brother Yang, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Bai Yunjian laughed heartily. Such a method could be said to be heavenly. No array master could set up another array formation in the span of a breath after having two array formations broken in a row. This was simply unheard of. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. Senior brother Bai, my array formation won't be able to hold on for long. Once this array formation is broken, we'll be in trouble. Don't worry, junior brother Yang. You just need to hold on for another 30 breaths. After 30 breaths, our reinforcements will come, Bai Yunjian said. Reinforcements? Yang Hongwu said Bai Yunjian sky. No, Bai Yunjian said. He was powerful, and his influence was almost on par with the emperor. However, even if he wanted to seize the throne of the Fire God dynasty, he would not have a right to do so. Moreover, the emperor was protected by the first great master of the Fire God dynasty, Huidanzi. Great master, what are you doing here? Zone Wang's face darkened when he saw Huidanzi. Zone Wang, I'm here on His Majesty's order to pick up Master Bai, Huidanzi said. No, Zone Wang said coldly. Bai Yunjian and the others kill my brother. I want them to pay with their lives. Zone Wang naturally would not agree to let Huidanzi take Bai Yunjian away. What a joke. If he let Huidanzi take Bai Yunjian away, where would he put his face? Would he not avenge his brother's death? Would he not want the peerless treasure in Yang Hongwu's hands? Therefore, no matter what, he would not agree. Even if he had to turn against the emperor, he would not agree. This is His Majesty's imperial edict. Do you dare to defy it? Huidanzi looked coldly at Zone Wang. Are you rebelling? Zone Wang's face darkened. He said coldly, Impossible. No matter what, I will not let you take Bai Yunjian away. You kill my brother. You must pay with your life. Looks like Zone Wang is going to defy the order. Zone Wang's tough attitude made Huidanzi's face darken. He looked coldly at the others and said, Lin Laosan, are you going to defy the order as well? Think carefully. Defying the imperial edict is equivalent to rebelling. This is a serious crime. Zone Wang snorted. Old thing, you must have planned this from the start. Zone Wang was not an ordinary person. He realized that the entire Kingsong residence was surrounded by many experts. Almost all the experts in the imperial city had been mobilized. At this moment, Huidanzi smiled. With a wave of his hand, the entire Kingsong residence was surrounded by a sea of people. Moreover, there were many experts among them. There were more than 10 great emperors. As for the person leading them, it was the second consecrated, the Poison Master. When Yang Hongwu saw this scene, he smiled bitterly. He did not expect to encounter such a melodramatic situation. The emperor was also a ruthless person. He actually used this opportunity to make a move on Zone Wang. If not for the fact that he killed King Song, Zone Wang would not have fallen into his trap so easily. That's right, Zone Wang. Surrender. If you resist, only death awaits you, what Danzi said. Yang Hanwu looked at the densely packed army. These soldiers were very strong. Moreover, each of them was holding a crossbow. These crossbows were not ordinary crossbows. They were god-slaying crossbows. These god-slaying crossbows were very terrifying. A single god-slaying crossbow could only kill a great saint expert. However, there were thousands of people in the army who were equipped with god-slaying crossbows. Moreover, these people were very strong. If thousands of god-slaying crossbows were to shoot at the same time, no one would be able to withstand it unless they were an unparalleled great emperor expert. At this moment, a dignified figure wearing a dragon robe walked out. This person was about 50 years old. His eyes were deep and his aura was very strong. Imperial uncle, you finally couldn't hold back. Zone Wang looked at the person who came and said calmly, Zone Chung, destroy your own cultivation. The person who came was none other than the emperor of the Fire God dynasty. He looked at Zone Wang and said with a sigh, Haha, Imperial uncle, do you think that victory is already in your hands? No, I haven't lost. The one who has lost is you. Today, all of you will die here. Zone Wang suddenly laughed. I have never lost. The emperor's face changed when he saw Zone Wang's reaction. Has Zone Wang lost his mind? Now that he has lost his advantage, how can he make a comeback? What Danzi frowned. Chu Gongfeng. Zone Wang shouted at the second consecrator. The emperor and the others' faces changed drastically. Second consecrator Chu, you betrayed his majesty. Hua Danzi saw Chu Gongfeng take a step forward and immediately stood in front of Chu Gongfeng. His eyes flashed with terrifying killing intent. Hua Danzi, you can't stop me. Second consecrator Chu smiled gently. Do you still have your cultivation? My cultivation? Oh no, I've been poisoned. Chapter 13:17. Divine Fire Kindling, Chu Gongfeng. You actually betrayed me? What did Zone Wang give you to betray me? The emperor was the emperor after all. It was unexpected that he could still calm down at this time. Royal uncle, there's no need to ask. Chu Gongfeng has always been one of my people. I was the one who arranged for him to enter the hall of worship, Zone Wang said with a faint smile. I was the one who arranged for these Imperial Army guards to enter the army. Impossible. I was the one who selected these Imperial Army guards. How could you have arranged for them? Besides, how old were you back then? The emperor's expression changed. When Chu Gongfeng entered the hall of worship, how old was he? He was not even 16 years old. These Imperial guards were indeed personally selected by the emperor. At that time, he had just ascended the throne. Therefore, when Zone Wang said that all of this was arranged by him, the emperor felt his hair stand on end. If what he said was true, then it was too terrifying. How many years had passed since he ascended the throne? For several hundred years, the sect monarch didn't issue a single command. Terrifying, truly terrifying. Moreover, the sect monarch had concealed his intentions too well. Today, no matter what you say, you will die here. I will avenge my younger brother, King Song, and all of you will die here as well. Zone Wang shouted as he waved his hand. Kill them all, just leave him alive. The Zone Wang pointed at Yang Hanwu. He didn't kill Yang Hanwu because some treasures, especially powerful treasures, would escape immediately after the death of their owners. If that happened, the losses would outweigh the gains. Therefore, he wanted to kill Yang Hanwu and seize his treasures in a foolproof manner. Of course, if Yang Hanwu was willing to hand over the treasures himself, that would be the best outcome. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A dense barrage of crossbow bolts instantly shot towards the crowd. Marshal Nephew Bai, I've implicated you this time. Hua Danzi looked at Bai Yunjian and smiled bitterly. He and the emperor wanted to make use of this opportunity to wipe out all of Zone Wang's forces in one fell swoop. However, they did not expect to be schemed against by Zone Wang. This time they were doomed. No, I should be the one who implicated Marshal Uncle. Bai Yunjian shook his head and said, It's a pity that Junior Yang's talent is thousands of times better than mine, but this time, Sai, I'm afraid I don't think I have a chance of survival. If not for this incident, Junior Yang would have become a supreme Tai Tru. Junior's talent? Talent, senior talent? When Huidanzi heard this, he looked at Yang Hongwu and was shocked. Bai Yunjian was a monstrous genius who could be compared to the monstrous geniuses in the central mainland. He never lied, but he actually valued Yang Hongwu so much. This Yang Hongwu must be extraordinary. However, when he saw that Yang Hongwu's cultivation was only at the Saint Realm, he said, "Martial nephew, this little brother's talent is not as good as you said, right?" Junior brother Yang is an alchemist and a formation master. The pills he refined can attract heavenly tribulations. The formation he set up can easily kill a late great emperor realm expert. Bai Yunjian saw that Huidanzi did not believe him and explained, "Pill tribulations? Pill tribulations?" Huidanzi's face changed when he heard this. A pill that could attract pill tribulations during the refining process was definitely not an ordinary pill. Yang Hongwu's cultivation was only at the Saint Realm. Ordinary alchemists at the Saint Realm would definitely not be able to do this. If what Bai Yunjian said was true, then Yang Hongwu was really a monstrous genius. "Do you have any pills refined by him? Can you let me have a look?" Huidanzi asked. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, "You'd better think of a way to escape from here." Yang Hongwu really looked down on this old man's alchemy skills. "Little brother, if what Martial Nephew Bai said is true, and you can really attract heavenly tribulations, I can pay a big enough price to send you out." Huidanzi said, "Martial uncle, can you really send Junior brother Yang out?" Bai Yunjian was pleasantly surprised when he heard this. It would be great if he could send Yang Hongwu out. In that way, although Sky Sword Sect would lose a genius like Bai Yunjian, they would gain a genius who was more talented than him. It was absolutely worth it. In Bai Yunjian's heart, the Heavenly Sword Sect would always be number one. Everything else had to be ranked second. Even his own life and his path of cultivation had to be ranked second. Of course, but the price is very high. Moreover, only one person can be sent out. This time, Zone Wang came prepared. The space within a radius of 100 feet has been sealed. Therefore, only one great Saint Realm expert can be sent out. Martial Nephew Bai, your strength has reached the great Emperor Realm, so I can't do anything about it. However, this little brother is just a Saint Realm expert. I can send him out." Huidanzi said, "No need. I can leave by myself." Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, "You can leave by yourself?" Huidanzi said, "Little guy, don't be arrogant. Zone Wang's plan is not ordinary. Lin Laosan is a powerful formation master. He has set up the formation here for hundreds of years. More importantly, Second Chu is a powerful poison master. Moreover, we have been poisoned and can only temporarily suppress the poison. Your cultivation is too weak. It's too difficult for you to break the formation and leave here. It's simply impossible." Huidanzi thought that Yang Hongwu was not clear about the current situation, so he said that. Yang Hongwu smiled faintly and said, "If you pay me enough, I can get rid of these Imperial Guards for you. Little brother, can you do it? If you can really do it, you can choose any treasure in the Imperial Palace's treasury." At this time, the Emperor of the Fire God Dynasty heard Yang Hongwu's words. At this time, he had no choice but to try his best. Outside, the Imperial Guards were madly attacking with crossbows. Most of the experts and loyal guards on their side had been poisoned, and their strength had been greatly reduced. Obviously, they could not resist. If Yang Hongwu could get rid of these Imperial Guards with the God-exterminating crossbows, then they would still have a glimmer of hope. As the Emperor, he certainly did not want to die, let alone be usurped. "Junior brother Yang, don't you want the divine fire? There is a kindling of the divine fire in the Fire God Dynasty." Bai Yunjian hurriedly said, "If you can get rid of these Imperial Guards with the God-exterminating crossbows, I think His Majesty will not be stingy." Chapter 13:18. The Soul Devouring Worm, Divine Flame, Kindling? Yang Hongwu's eyes lit up. This item was indeed attractive to him. Sure, but one divine flame kindling is not enough. Other than the divine flame kindling, you can also enter the national treasury and choose 3 treasures. The Emperor said, "Only 3 treasures?" Yang Hongwu said, "That's too little. I don't want them. Little guy, don't be too greedy. There are only a few dozen treasures in the national treasury after thousands of years. It's good enough that you can choose 3. Those treasures are all priceless treasures. Huidanzi said. Is that so? Yang Hongwu chuckled. You're also an alchemist. Do you think that an alchemist would lack treasures? Huidanzi's voice froze. Indeed, Yang Hongwu was right. For an alchemist, especially a powerful one, a few treasures were nothing to him. If he could refine some pills, he could exchange them for many treasures. In Huidanzi's eyes, some treasures were only emperor weapons and some supreme-grade spiritual herbs. If it were ordinary treasures, he wouldn't care at all. I don't want much. 5 emperor weapons and 10 emperor herbs. Yang Hongwu said. What? 5 emperor weapons is fine, but 10 emperor herbs? Are you dreaming? Before the emperor could say anything, Huidanzi said with his eyes wide open. Emperor medicines were extremely precious items. In fact, they were even more precious than emperor weapons. Even though he was a powerful alchemist, he only had a few stalks of emperor medicines. Yet, Yang Hongwu actually wanted 10 stalks of emperor medicines. How could he not be angry? You're not giving? Then forget it. If I want to leave, I can do it at any time. Yang Hongwu said indifferently. It's just that it will take some effort. All right, I promise you. As long as you get rid of these imperial guards, I'll give you a divine flame kindling, 5 emperor weapons, and 10 emperor herbs. Although the emperor was angry, he didn't show it like Huidanzi. Instead, he chose to agree. 10 stalks of emperor herbs could be said to be more than half of the Fire God Dynasty's emperor herb storage. After so many years, the Fire God Dynasty had only obtained 10 stalks of emperor herbs, and Yang Hongwu had taken half of it. Almost half of the herb garden had been dug out by Yang Hongwu. Although the Fire God Dynasty's emperor was heartbroken, he had no other choice. All right, sign the contract. Yang Hongwu's lips curled into a smile when he saw that Lin Fan had agreed. He wasn't afraid that Lin Fan would go back on his word, so he took out an item. It was a contract scroll, which was equivalent to a blood oath. Of course, you can also choose to make a blood oath. I'll sign the contract. The emperor's mouth twitched. Since when was he threatened like this? Signing the contract was better than swearing the heaven blood oath. Although he hadn't seen such a contract before, he might be able to find an expert to break it. As for the heaven blood oath, once it was made, no one would be able to go against it. If they did, they would definitely be punished by the heavens. After the contract was signed, it turned into a ball of flame and burned away. This is a soul contract? Huidanzi exclaimed with his eyes wide open. Soul contract. The emperor of the Fire God Empire took a deep breath. They had heard of the soul contract, but had never seen it before. Once the soul contract was signed, it was even scarier than the heavenly oath. Once violated, one soul would crumble and be destroyed by the contract. One would not even have the chance to reincarnate. As for the heaven blood oath, if one violated it, they would be punished by the heavens. Those who were strong could resist the heavens' punishment, but that was only a minority. Then, watch me. Yang Hongwu smiled and waved his hand. The heavenly palace of destruction appeared. The heavenly palace of destruction emitted a ball of smoke that spread out instantly. When the crowd saw it, they couldn't help but take a deep breath. It was the soul-devouring insects. The swarm of soul-devouring insects rushed towards the Imperial Army guards at an astonishing speed. Soul-devouring insects. You have the soul-devouring insects. Huidanzi murmured. The soul-devouring insects can be subdued. This was something that no one dared to imagine. Those were the soul-devouring insects. It was too terrifying. At this moment, the Imperial Army guards screamed in agony. More than half of the Imperial Army guards were dead or injured. The soul-devouring insects attacked at an astonishing speed. Some of the guards didn't even have the chance to scream before their souls were devoured by the soul-devouring insects. The faces of the Zone Wang and the other experts paled upon seeing this sight, and they hurriedly backed away. Damn it! How could they have such terrifying things? Zone Wang didn't expect Yang Hongwu to be able to control the soul-devouring insects. Moreover, there was more than one of them. It was too terrifying. Haha, good. That's great. The emperor of the Fire God dynasty was overjoyed when he saw this scene. He was excited and his face was flushed red. He didn't look as gloomy as before. King Zong, to think that you would have such a day. Those who betray me must die. King Zong, if you surrender now, I can still give you a chance. If you remain stubborn, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. The Fire God dynasty's emperor looked at King Zong, his eyes shining brightly. When he was threatened just now, he was very unhappy. As the emperor of the Fire God dynasty, he had fallen to such a state. Now, with Yang Hongwu's soul devouring insects, he was in an invincible position. Naturally, he was excited. It's too early for you to be happy. Although the soul-devouring insects are powerful, it's not impossible to resist them. I don't believe that these soul-devouring insects can devour many souls. Zhong Wang snorted. Although Yang Hongwu had released a lot of soul-devouring insects, there were only 1,000 of them. These 1,000 soul-devouring insects were terrifying and unstoppable. Even an Emperor Realm expert might not be able to resist the might of the soul-devouring insects. However, there was still a limit to the number of soul-devouring insects. Moreover, there was still Second Chu, a powerful poison master, and Third Lin, a powerful array master. Chu Gongfeng, consecrate a Lin. Use all your strength to stop these soul-devouring insects. Zhang Daowei, bring some men and kill these soul-devouring insects. If 1,000 men isn't enough, then 10,000 men. If 10,000 men isn't enough, then 50,000 men. I don't believe that we can't kill these 1,000 soul-devouring insects. Zhong Wang was a ruthless man. The emperor of the Fire God dynasty's face changed. He looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "Little brother, can these soul-devouring insects be stopped?" Chapter 13:19. Antidote pills. Even Yang Hongwu did not expect Zhong Wang's plan. The soul-devouring worms were extremely powerful and could devour souls. However, Zhong Wang wanted to use numbers to stop the worms. Although the soul-devouring worms were terrifying, there was a limit to how much they could devour. Once they reached their limit, they would no longer be able to devour souls. At that time, the soul-devouring worms would no longer be a threat. The crisis has been resolved. Yang Hongwu said, "I have fulfilled your conditions." The emperor of the Fire God dynasty was stunned. Huadanzi was the same. However, Yang Hongwu had fulfilled his conditions. The imperial guards with the god-destroying crossbows were killed. Even the poison master was forced to retreat. "What about the things you promised me?" Yang Hongwu asked. "I'm here now. How can I give you the treasures?" "The treasures are all in the national treasury. We need to leave this place and enter the national treasury." The emperor of the Fire God dynasty said, "Yes, little brother. We're still trapped here. How can we bring you to the national treasury to pick out the treasures?" Huadanzi said, "If you can bring us out of here, we can naturally give you those things." Yang Hongwu smiled faintly. How could Yang Hongwu not know about their scheme? They just wanted him to bring them out of here. In fact, it was not difficult for Yang Hongwu. Zhong Wang and the others were blocked by the soul-devouring worms. Yang Hongwu could also break the formation. The only problem was that they were all poisoned. However, this bit of poison was difficult for others. For Yang Hongwu, it was nothing. We are all poisoned. If we want to leave, unless we can remove the poison and recover our cultivation, it is impossible. Bai Yunjian shook his head. Yes, although the soul-devouring worms are powerful, there is no way to remove the poison. Aren't you an alchemist? Although this poison is powerful, it shouldn't be difficult to refine an antidote, right? Yang Hongwu looked at Huadanzi. Huadanzi was a powerful alchemist. It was impossible that he did not know how to make antidote pills. Antidote pill? Huadanzi was stunned for a moment. Then he shook his head and smiled bitterly. The recipe for the detoxification pill has been lost for a long time. Now in the entire continent, no one knows how to refine the detoxification pill. Even the best alchemist can only refine the detoxification pill. The difference between the detoxification pill and the detoxification pill is too big. It has no effect on Second Chu's poison techniques. Huadanzi's words puzzled Yang Hongwu. In this common people's continent, There was no one who knew how to refine antidote pills. Lost pill recipes? What was this? Detoxification pills were not complicated things. Even if they were to be developed, they could still be developed, right? How do you make the antidote pill? Is it very difficult? Even if you don't have the pill formula for the detoxification pill, as an alchemist, it shouldn't be difficult to deduce it. Yang Hongwu said, deduce the detoxification pill? Impossible, no one can do it. Hua Danzi shook his head and said, even an emperor-level alchemist could not deduce the pill formula for the detoxification pill even after countless attempts. Naturally, there is no way to refine the detoxification pill. Unlike Hua Danzi, the emperor of the Fire God dynasty was pleasantly surprised. He said to Yang Hongwu, little brother, for what you said, you must have the pill formula for the detoxification pill. Or perhaps you already have the detoxification pill. I have the pill formula for the detoxification pill. I also have the pill formula, but before Yang Hongwu could finish his words, Hua Danzi grabbed Yang Hongwu's hand and said excitedly, you have the pill formula for the detoxification pill? Are you joking? Can you show it to me? Yang Hongwu was shocked by Hua Danzi's action. He thought that this guy was going to attack him. Martial uncle. Bai Yunjian coughed and said, sorry, I was too excited. Hua Danzi's face turned red. He did not think that he would lose his composure. No matter, Yang Hongwu said, I can give you the pill formula for the detoxification pill, but what will you give in exchange? Hua Danzi was very excited when he heard this. He said, little brother, are you really willing to give me the pill formula for the detoxification pill? Hua Danzi's tone revealed an expression of disbelief. That was the detoxification pill. What was the detoxification pill? It was a pill formula that the alchemists of the common people's continent could not deduce for many years. Even the detoxification pills of the common people's continent were obtained from ancient ruins. Therefore, the detoxification pill was incomparably precious. Some saint-grade detoxification pills were even more precious than emperor-grade pills. It could be seen how precious the pill formula for the detoxification pill was. Yang Hongwu was actually willing to give away the pill formula for the detoxification pill. How could Hua Danzi not be shocked? Of course, the pill formula for the detoxification pill is nothing. Yang Hongwu said. Hua Danzi took a deep breath and said, I will use my Tranquil fortune furnace and my lifetime's worth of alchemy notes to exchange with you. How about it? When Bai Yunjian heard this, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Hua Danzi was actually so willing. The Tranquil fortune furnace was Hua Danzi's top emperor-grade cauldron. Even he was not willing to use it for alchemy. As for his lifetime's worth of alchemy notes, it was even more incredible. As a powerful alchemist, how could Hua Danzi's lifetime's worth of alchemy notes not be precious? His notes were much more precious than the pill cauldron. If this news were to spread, who knew how many alchemists would fight over it? How many experts and how many forces would fight over this pill formula? After all, this pill formula did not only contain Hua Danzi's thoughts on alchemy, it also recorded all the pill formulas that Hua Danzi knew and had refined before. This was what was truly precious. No, Martial Uncle, you absolutely can't. The Tranquil fortune furnace can be exchanged, but the pill formula is too precious. Bai Yunjian hurriedly said. In Bai Yunjian's heart, Yang Hongwu was already a true disciple of the Sky Sword sect. However, if Yang Hongwu accepted Hua Danzi's pill formula, it wouldn't be too good. It might even bring about a disaster. Therefore, these alchemy notes were something that he absolutely could not accept. It's just a mere pill formula. Moreover, little brother is also an alchemist. I hope this little bit of knowledge can be of some help to little brother. Hua Danzi said. When Yang Hongwu heard this, he said, I don't want the pill formula. The pill cauldron is fine. Although the pill formula was incomparably precious in the hearts of others, in Yang Hongwu's eyes, it was nothing. The alchemy techniques that he cultivated were many levels higher than Hua Danzi's. Therefore, Yang Hongwu didn't care about Hua Danzi's pill formula and knowledge at all. Chapter 13:20. Chu Gongfeng's fear. No, you must accept these alchemy notes. Hua Danzi insisted. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly and shook his head. These alchemy notes are not of much use to me. Huidanzi's face darkened when he heard this. He said awkwardly, "That's true. You even have a recipe for the antidote pill. My recipe is nothing to you." "Fine, fine." Huidanzi put away the alchemy notes dejectedly. Then, he passed the cauldron to Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu took the cauldron and passed the recipe for the antidote pill to Huidanzi. Huidanzi's eyes widened when he saw the pill. "This is 10 pill veins. This is a 100% effectiveness pill." "What is a 100% effectiveness pill?" The emperor of the Fire God dynasty was also shocked when he heard this. Bai Yunjian swallowed his saliva when he saw this. He then looked at Yang Hongwu and thought to himself, "Junior brother Yang is too much. It's just an antidote pill. Ordinary antidote pills would be enough. Why did he have to take out a 100% effectiveness pill? This is simply a waste. This is great. With this pill, my alchemy skills will improve greatly. I will break through the shackles and become an emperor-level alchemist." Huidanzi was pleasantly surprised. "Grandmaster Yang, thank you for your gift." Huidanzi bowed to Yang Hongwu. This was the bow of a teacher. Yang Hongwu saw this and let him be. "Junior brother Yang, do you still have more of these antidote pills?" Bai Yunjian asked. "Yes." Yang Hongwu nodded. He naturally had a lot of antidote pills. Moreover, they were all 100% effectiveness pills. For Yang Hongwu, pills that were not 100% effectiveness pills were not worth his attention. In his opinion, if they were not 100% effectiveness pills, then they were trash. They were useless pills. "Senior brother Bai wants antidote pills? If you have them, how about giving one to me? I definitely won't take junior brother's medicinal pills for free," Bai Yunjian said. "Senior brother, what are you talking about?" Yang Hongwu smiled and didn't mind. To him, it was just a pill. It wasn't anything precious. After Yang Hongwu finished speaking, he took out an antidote pill and handed it to Bai Yunjian. "This pill was meant for senior brother." "Thank you, junior brother. Thank you." Bai Yunjian carefully took the pill and put it into a jade bottle before putting it into his storage space. Yang Hongwu was stunned and said, "Senior apprentice brother, aren't you going to consume this medicinal pill?" Bai Yunjian was still poisoned. He was only suppressing the poison with his strong dermic powers. The poison was very strong. If not for Bai Yunjian's strong dermic powers, Bai Yunjian would have been poisoned. If he did not take the antidote pill, he would be able to get rid of the poison. However, it would take time. Moreover, it was a critical moment. There was danger everywhere. If he was not careful, he would be doomed. Bai Yunjian was not willing to take the pill. Instead, he kept it. This made Yang Hongwu speechless. "Junior brother, I want to keep this pill for myself," Bai Yunjian said embarrassedly. "Senior brother, now is not the time. This pill is for you to get rid of the poison," Yang Hongwu said. Bai Yunjian smiled bitterly. "Junior brother, you don't know. A good friend of mine has been poisoned. His life is in danger. If there is no antidote, I am afraid he can only last for 10 years. Therefore, I do not need this pill." "Good friend?" Yang Hongwu saw the light in Bai Yunjian's eyes. He smiled and said, "Senior brother, this friend is a girl, right? Junior brother, don't make fun of me. That day, she was poisoned because of me. So, I'm going to give this medicinal pill to her to see if it can cure that strange poison." Bai Yunjian's face was filled with bitterness when he heard Yang Hongwu's words, and he said in a very sad manner, "Senior brother, you don't have to be like this. I am the one who refined the antidote pill. When the time comes, I will refine some more." Yang Hongwu said, "So, senior brother, you'd better take this detoxification pill first and get rid of the poison in your body. Otherwise, you'll be in danger later. If you die here, how will you take care of that girl?" "Junior brother Yang, don't lie to me." Bai Yunjian looked at Yang Hongwu and said in a serious tone, "Naturally, I won't," Yang Hongwu said. Yang Hongwu admired Bai Yunjian's sentimental and righteous actions very much. "Then I will take it." Bai Yunjian was relieved. He took out the antidote pill and consumed it. Chu Gongfeng saw Yang Hongwu take out the antidote pill. He suddenly felt that something was wrong. The aura that the pill emitted was able to disperse his poison, causing his face to change. Although his poison technique was not unparalleled in the world, it was definitely top-notch in the common people's continent. At least on this side of the common people's continent, no one in the Fire God dynasty could get rid of it in a short time. This was his confidence. However, when he sensed the antidote pill that Yang Hongwu took out, he had a bad feeling. Not good. Chu Gongfeng said, Your Highness Zhong Wang, we have to take the initiative. Otherwise, once they get rid of the poison, it will not be easy for us to deal with them. Isn't your poison technique unparalleled in the world? How can they get rid of it in a short time? Zhong Wang's face changed slightly. He said, It's not possible to get rid of them now. The crisis of the soul-devouring insects has not been solved yet. We cannot act rashly. Zhong Wang did not want to face the soul-devouring insects. These insects were too terrifying. They could devour souls directly. Since ancient times, no one had been able to get rid of the soul-devouring insects. Therefore, Zhong Wang was worried. If it wasn't for the soul-devouring insects, Zhong Wang would have already taken action. In this situation, he wanted to get rid of the emperor of the Fire Snake dynasty more than anyone else. After all, he had been scheming for so many years. If he failed, he would not have another chance. He might not even be able to keep his life. Not many people can get rid of my poison technique. However, I did not expect that Yang Hongwu would have an antidote pill. Chu Gongfeng smiled bitterly. What? You're saying that Yang Hongwu has an antidote pill? Zhong Wang was shocked. He said, You're saying that the pill that kid took out is an antidote pill? It's very likely to be an antidote pill. Chu Gongfeng nodded. Even if it's an antidote pill, there are only a few of them. It's impossible to get rid of the poison in all of them, right? Zhong Wang said. Moreover, even if they took the antidote pill, it's impossible for them to recover in such a short time. Chapter 1321. The Vulcan Cannon, Supreme Treasure, an antidote pill. Yang Hongwu's secrets seemed to be endless. This made Zhong Wang even more greedy. No matter what, no one could let Yang Hongwu leave. All right. Zhong Wang raised his hand slightly and made a gesture. Several experts understood that Zhong Wang was going to act regardless of the cost. The Vulcan Cannon. Not good. That's the Vulcan Cannon. While Yang Hongwu was studying the cauldron, Huidanzi's expression changed, and he shouted, What's going on? The emperor of the Fire God dynasty saw the Vulcan Cannon, and his eyes flashed coldly. The Vulcan Cannon was one of the foundations of the Fire God dynasty. It was the true foundation of the Fire God dynasty, and one of the reasons why the Fire God dynasty was able to stand tall. The Vulcan Cannon's power was terrifying. Once it was fired, the power was comparable to the attack of an invincible Great Emperor expert. If there was enough energy, it could even unleash the attack of a Tai true God expert. This showed how terrifying the power of the Vulcan Cannon was. For a long time, only the Emperor could activate the Vulcan Cannon. Moreover, the Vulcan Cannon was in the Fire God Palace. Without the Emperor's imperial decree, it couldn't be moved. But now, the Vulcan Cannon was here. How could the Emperor of the Fire God dynasty not be shocked? Someone sent a fake imperial decree. Huidanzi's eyes flashed coldly. Impossible. Even if it's a fake imperial decree, it can't activate the Vulcan Cannon. To activate the Vulcan Cannon, they need my permission and my blood. The Emperor shook his head. Now is not the time to talk about this. The most important thing now is how to stop the Vulcan Cannon. Bai Yunjian said. Looking at the Vulcan Cannon in front of him, Bai Yunjian felt his heart palpitate. This feeling was even more terrifying than facing the soul-devouring insects. Yang Hongwu didn't expect that the Fire God dynasty would have such a thing. The power of the Fire God Cannon was indeed astonishing. Although Yang Hongwu wasn't a machinist, he had done some research on the art of mechanisms of puppetry. Back then, Little Muddlehead specialized in researching these things. He had also read The Secret Record of Heavenly Works. The Secret Record of Heavenly Works was all-encompassing. It was like the Divine Talisman Technique and the Fate Pill Scripture. They were all supreme secret records. Therefore, Yang Hongwu could also see the power of the Vulcan Cannon. Impossible. Once the Vulcan Cannon is activated, there's no way to stop it. Huidanzi smiled bitterly. We can only seize it now before the Vulcan Cannon is fired. That's right. The High Priest is right. The only way to stop the Vulcan Cannon is to seize it before it is fired. The Emperor said. The Vulcan cannon is not something that ordinary people can control. Logically speaking, the only person here who can control the Vulcan cannon is me. But now, Zone Wang can also control it. Although I don't know what method he used, there must be a flaw. I'm now trying to interfere with Zone Wang. You must act. While I'm fighting with Zone Wang, seize the opportunity to seize the Vulcan cannon. I'll go, Yang Hongwu said. No, junior brother Yang. Your cultivation is too weak. I'll go. Bai Yunjian saw that Yang Hongwu wanted to go. He wouldn't agree. He couldn't let Yang Hongwu take the risk. I'll go. What Danzi said. We can't let little brother take the risk. I want to see the Vulcan cannon. Don't worry, I have a way to protect myself. Yang Hongwu was really curious about the Vulcan cannon. Hoi Danzi, you go with little brother. The emperor said. Yang Hongwu knew that this guy didn't believe that he had the strength, but Yang Hongwu didn't care. At this time, the emperor had taken the antidote pill and recovered his strength. He was able to contend with Zone Wang. As for Hoi Danzi, he was an alchemist after all. Although he was poisoned, his blood had accumulated a lot of spiritual herbs. Therefore, the poison didn't affect him too much. In a short time, he had recovered a lot. Although he hadn't recovered to his peak, he had recovered 80% of his strength. Royal Uncle, just surrender. The soul-devouring insects may be strong, but they're being held back. You may have the antidote, but I still have the fire god cannon. I'm sure you know best how powerful the fire god cannon is. As long as I fire it, you're dead for sure. The Zone Wang shouted. Oomph. Zone Wang, you evil creature. How dare you steal the Vulcan cannon? Do you know that the Vulcan cannon is the foundation of our Vulcan dynasty? Unless there is no other choice, unless the country is destroyed, the Vulcan cannon will never be used. And I don't know what evil method you used to steal the Vulcan cannon. Your crime is unforgivable. What's more unforgivable is that you pointed the Vulcan cannon at me. Do you know that if this cannon is fired, half of the imperial city will be destroyed? Do you know that? The emperor's eyes flashed coldly as he stared at Zone Wang. Of course I know. But don't worry, royal uncle. Although the Vulcan cannon is powerful, it is under the condition that there is enough energy. I only poured in 2 spiritual veins, and each spiritual vein can only fire 2 shots. Therefore, this Vulcan cannon can fire 4 shots. Each shot is equivalent to an attack from Invincible Great Emperor. Zone Wang said loudly. Therefore, this Vulcan cannon will not destroy the imperial city. Vulcan cannon, prepare for me. The emperor saw the opportunity and activated his spiritual power. He forced out a drop of essence blood and formed a series of hand seals. The hand seals merged with the drop of essence blood and turned into blood-red marks, which shot toward the Vulcan cannon at high speed. Zone Wang saw this and sneered. You want to steal the Vulcan cannon? Impossible. Royal uncle, you are too naive. I have already prepared for this. Is that so? The emperor sneered. After all, you have not received the recognition of your ancestors. Therefore, even if you used crooked means to seize the Vulcan cannon, you will not be able to fully control it. As for me, I am the one who truly controls the Vulcan cannon. Because I am the emperor of the Vulcan dynasty, the true master of the dynasty. Impossible. Zone Wang felt that he had lost part of his control over the Vulcan cannon. His face changed, and he began to form hand seals. His psychic power exploded as he fought with the emperor for control of the Vulcan cannon. However, at this time, Yang Hongwu and Hoi Danzi turned into 2 streaks of starlight and appeared beside the Vulcan cannon in an instant. They wanted to take the Vulcan cannon for themselves. At this time, Chu Gongfeng and High Official Lin made their move. 2 other people also launched their attacks. Chapter 1322. Heavenly Sword Technique. Hoi Danzi wasn't afraid of their attacks. He turned to Yang Hongwu and said, Little brother, go and take the Vulcan cannon. I'll hold them off. Yang Hongwu nodded. He knew that this was a crucial moment. He leaped up and flew towards the Vulcan cannon. His speed was so fast that it was shocking. In the blink of an eye, Yang Hongwu was already beside the Vulcan cannon. But Danzi couldn't help but shout in surprise. What speed? Little brother, it's up to you this time. Stop him. Zone Wang's expression changed. He knew that if Yang Hongwu took the Vulcan cannon, they would be finished. Therefore, he couldn't let him have his way. Lin Laosan and the others also knew that if Yang Hongwu successfully took the Vulcan cannon, they wouldn't be able to survive. Therefore, they split up. One of them blocked Hu Danzi, while the others rushed towards Yang Hongwu. "You want to leave? Didn't you ask for my permission?" Hu Danzi snorted coldly. He waved his hands, and 2 balls of flames appeared. The 2 balls of flames turned into 2 fire dragons and pounced towards the few people. They were so aggressive that it was shocking. Hu Danzi's cultivation base was at the peak of the Great Emperor realm. Although he was an alchemist, his strength was equally terrifying. This was because of the cultivation techniques he practiced and the secret combat techniques he mastered. At this moment, Hu Danzi was blocking the few of them by himself. In this battle, he had the upper hand. He was the #1 consecrator and the #1 expert of the Vulcan dynasty. Damn it! Damn it! Lin Laosan, what are you doing? I've raised you for so many years, but you can't even kill a single alchemist. What's the use of keeping you? The Zhong Wang was also furious. At this time, he was actually at a disadvantage in the fight for the Vulcan cannon with the Emperor of the Fire God dynasty. That was why he was so anxious and angry. After all, this was a moment of life and death. If he could not seize control of the Vulcan cannon, they would be completely finished. Lin Laosan and the others were also bitter. Hu Danzi was too strong. His cultivation base was originally 1 level higher than theirs. They were late Great Emperor realm, while Hu Danzi was at the peak of the Great Emperor realm. Even worse, Hu Danzi had the divine fire. If Hu Danzi was Great Emperor realm was Great Emperor realm, and the others were Great Emperor realm was Great Emperor realm. While they were late Great Emperor realm, Hu Danzi was Great Emperor realm, they were Great Emperor realm great. Nobody didn't die's phone was God, was Emperor. Facing Zhong Wang's anger, although they were embarrassed and afraid, it was nothing compared to their own lives. Zhong Wang was an ambitious and ruthless person. How could he not know what they were thinking? Seeing their actions, he was furious. He snorted coldly and said, "If we can't stop that brat, all of us will die. Don't forget about the triple brain soul elixir." When Lin Laosan and the others heard about the triplet brain soul elixir, their faces turned pale. The triplet brain soul elixir was extremely terrifying. The so-called triplet brain soul elixir meant that one couldn't get rid of its control for 3 lifetimes. Even if one died, the soul couldn't escape. It was the same even if one was reincarnated. Once the triplet brain soul elixir took effect, one's life would be worse than death. They looked at each other and saw the fear in each other's eyes. "What are you waiting for? Do you want to force me to use the triple brain soul elixir?" Zhong Wang shouted. "Kill!" They finally took action and were ready to fight to the death. They still had a chance if they attacked. If they didn't, they would definitely die once the triple brain soul elixir took effect. Yang Hongwu chuckled when he saw this. It was too late now. If he didn't have Hu Danzi's help, it would be troublesome to get rid of them and seize the Vulcan cannon. After all, they were all great emperors. If they attacked, Yang Hongwu would have to rely on formations and treasures. "Come here," Yang Hongwu shouted and stretched out his hand. The Vulcan cannon flew toward Yang Hongwu. Zhong Wang and the others' faces changed drastically. The Emperor of the Fire God dynasty was overjoyed. Yang Hongwu's strength really surprised him. Although he was only a saint, the combat strength he displayed was so shocking that he almost couldn't believe it. Although Lin Laosan and the others were blocked by Hu Danzi, the strength of the others was also very good. Even great emperors would have a hard time breaking through, but Yang Hongwu, a saint, easily did it. How could he not be surprised? "Well done." The Emperor of the Fire God dynasty shouted, "I will teach you a technique, and you will be able to control the Vulcan cannon." Song Lingwu, how dare you teach an outsider the technique to control the Vulcan cannon? You're betraying the sect and abandoning your ancestors. The sect monarch shouted anxiously, "How dare you mention your ancestors to me?" The emperor sneered, "Do you think I don't know what you have done? I just didn't want to say it. As the saying goes, don't wash your dirty linen in public. I didn't expect you to have the face to say it." Zhong Wang's face darkened. He turned to Lin Laosan and the others and shouted, "Kill them. even if it means perishing together. Die. Chu Laosan, Lin Laosan, and the others were really ruthless. They were going to die anyway. If they died fighting Huadanzi, at least they would have a chance to be reincarnated. If they didn't help and were killed by Zone Wang's 3 lives brain-soul elixir, then they would be tortured by the 3 lives brain-soul elixir for 3 lifetimes. They didn't want to suffer such terrible torture, so they could only be ruthless and block Huadanzi. The other guards also attacked Yang Hongwu ferociously. For a moment, Yang Hongwu was enveloped in a terrible attack. Countless swords and sabers bombarded Yang Hongwu. Junior brother, be careful. When Bai Yunjian saw this, the long sword in his hand turned into a meteor and shot towards Yang Hongwu. A guard in front of Yang Hongwu was killed by Bai Yunjian from a distance. Heaven Sword Technique, rise. Bai Yunjian formed a seal with both hands. All the swords around him swayed uncontrollably. Haha, good, very good. Martial nephew Bai, I didn't expect you to have mastered the Heaven Sword Technique. Heaven Sword, haha, I can't believe I get to see the power of the Heaven Sword Technique. Huadanzi laughed. The Heaven Sword Technique was the Heaven Sword Sect's unparalleled secret technique. It was called an invincible sword technique. When cultivated to the highest level, it could control the sword to kill enemies from 1,000 miles away. It was terrifying. In other words, even if the enemy was 1,000 miles away, he could use the Heaven Sword Technique to kill the enemy. If the enemy was the enemy, you wouldn't even know where the sword was coming from. Your head would be cut off immediately. Terrifying, terrifying. Chapter 1323. Zone Wang ran away. Yang Hongwu was also stunned when he saw this. Wasn't this the legendary sword manipulation technique? Its power was indeed shocking. This was related to mental strength. In fact, anyone could use a sword to kill an enemy from a distance. However, it wasn't as terrifying as the Imperial Sword Technique. The Imperial Sword Technique could take the head of an enemy from 1,000 miles away. If he could cultivate the Imperial Sword Technique, it would be a good thing. Yang Hongwu threw these thoughts aside. Then he used the technique passed to him by the Emperor of the Fire God Dynasty to refine the Fire God cannon in an instant. Zone Wang saw that the situation was hopeless. He didn't think too much about it. He turned around and leaped up. Let's go. Lin Laosan and the others were besieging Huadanzi. After receiving Zone Wang's command, they instantly forced Huadanzi to retreat. Chu Gongfeng moved his mind. 2 terrifying black smoke burst out from his hands. The black smoke turned into 2 poisonous dragons and pounced towards Huadanzi and the others. Zone Wang and the others took advantage of this opportunity to break through space and escape. They disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Damn it, we actually let them escape. Releasing the tiger back to the mountain. Huadanzi murmured. To Yang Hongwu, if he wanted to, he could stop Zone Wang and the others. However, Yang Hongwu didn't do so. In fact, although Yang Hongwu could trap Zone Wang and the others, it would consume too much of his energy. The loss outweighed the gain. Yang Hongwu wasn't stupid enough to give his all for the Emperor of the Fire God Dynasty. Your Majesty. Huadanzi came in front of Song Lingwu and said respectfully, Your Majesty, please punish me. I have betrayed Your Majesty by failing to stop Zone Wang. Chief Consecrator, please rise. There's no need for this. This time, being able to repel Zone Wang and take back the Fire God Cannon is already the greatest merit. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid I would have died here. Song Lingwu smiled bitterly. Zone Wang's methods were beyond his expectations. Why did the second prince, Lin Laosan, and the others betray him? Even the Imperial Guards betrayed him. They were personally selected and nurtured by him. However, he didn't expect that all of them would betray him. This made him very depressed and puzzled him. If it wasn't for Yang Hongwu's soul-devouring insects, they would have been turned into hedgehogs by now. I don't dare to claim credit. Huadanzi shook his head and said, This is all thanks to little brother Yang Hongwu. If it wasn't for him, I'm afraid we wouldn't have been able to repel Zone Wang. Huadanzi was a sensible person. Moreover, what he said was true. If it wasn't for Yang Hongwu, they wouldn't have been able to keep their lives, let alone defeat Zone Wang. Therefore, Huadanzi was very grateful to Yang Hongwu. However, Song Lingwu was different. He was the emperor of the Fire God dynasty. Although Zhong Wang was defeated by Yang Hongwu, he had promised Yang Hongwu that he would give him the fire seed of the Fire God dynasty and allow him to choose any treasures from the imperial treasury. This was something he didn't want. Everything else was fine, but the fire seed of the Fire God dynasty was the foundation of the Fire God dynasty. It was one of the most precious treasures of the Fire God dynasty. He didn't want to hand it over. Of course, I know about little brother Yang's contribution. However, great consecrator, you shouldn't belittle yourself. This time, your contribution cannot go unnoticed. Moreover, if it wasn't for great consecrator, how could the Fire God dynasty have the prestige it has today? As the emperor, Song Lingwu was naturally familiar with the way of handling people. Moreover, Huadanzi's contribution was definitely the most important reason why the Fire God dynasty had such prestige. Secondly, it was obviously because of the powerful poison master, second brother Chu. Unfortunately, second brother Chu betrayed him, which made him very angry. If he couldn't kill Zhong Wang and second brother Chu, he wouldn't be able to live in peace. Therefore, no matter what, Zhong Wang and the others had to die. Your Majesty, now that Zhong Wang has been defeated, shouldn't you fulfill your promise to me? Yang Hongwu said. How dare you speak to His Majesty like that? At this moment, a group of guards arrived. The leader of the guards was furious when he saw Yang Hongwu's rudeness. He scolded Yang Hongwu loudly. In fact, Yang Hongwu's words made Song Lingwu extremely unhappy. He was the emperor of the Fire God dynasty, the ruler of a country. How could Yang Hongwu be so rude to him at this moment? This made him very uncomfortable. However, he knew that he couldn't offend Yang Hongwu now. If he couldn't kill Yang Hongwu in one blow, he definitely couldn't attack him. This was because Yang Hongwu had the soul-devouring bug. This soul-devouring bug was extremely terrifying. Even a peak Emperor Realm expert couldn't withstand it. Therefore, he wouldn't be so stupid to attack Yang Hongwu before he had a way to deal with the soul-devouring bug. Moreover, there was a huge force behind Yang Hongwu, which was the Sky Sword sect. Although the Fire God dynasty's strength wasn't much weaker than the Sky Sword sect, the Fire God dynasty's strength was greatly reduced because of Zhong Wang's rebellion. If they were to go against the Sky Sword sect now, the Fire God dynasty would be in an unprecedented state of danger. It might even be destroyed. He didn't want to become the ruler of a destroyed country. Shut up, Song Lingwu scolded. Your Majesty, little brother Yang has shown great kindness to me. It was he who defeated the sect king and the others, allowing this emperor to survive. You came too late to save this emperor, yet you still dare to yell at this emperor's benefactor. Do you know your crime? Song Lingwu shouted angrily. I deserve to die 1,000 deaths. When the guard heard that, he was scared to death. Indeed, although they rushed over with all their might, they didn't come in time to save the emperor when he was in danger. This was indeed their fault. All right. This time, I don't blame you. Now, bring some men and chase after Zhong Wang. Also, arrest Zhong Wang and the others. Song Lingwu's eyes shot out a terrifying cold light. This time, he, the emperor, almost died in the hands of Zhong Wang. This made him lose all his face. Therefore, one could imagine the anger in his heart at this moment. Yes, your Majesty. The guard nodded and turned to leave. After the guard left, Song Lingwu apologized to Yang Hongwu. Little brother Yang, I'm sorry. My subordinates didn't know any better. Please forgive them. It's fine. Yang Hongwu shook his head. As the emperor, how could Yang Hongwu not know about Song Lingwu's schemes and thoughts? In fact, Song Lingwu already had killing intent towards him. Although Song Lingwu concealed it well, Yang Hongwu had already caught it. Chapter 1324. Fire Spirit World. Your Majesty, I still have matters to attend to, so before Yang Hongwu could finish his sentence, Song Lingwu interrupted him and said, I know, little brother Zhong Wang. Don't worry, I won't go back on my words. However, Zhong Wang has escaped and is hiding in the dark. If little brother leaves now, I'm afraid you'll be ambushed by Zhong Wang. Therefore, I think little brother should rest in the palace for a while and leave after finding that traitor. Only then will you be safe. Your Majesty, to be honest, I came to the Fire God Dynasty this time to go to the blazing divine mountain. Therefore, I am deeply grateful for your Majesty's concern. As for that Zone Wang, I don't believe that he'll dare to chase me to the blazing divine mountain. Moreover, even if he dares to ambush me, I'm not afraid of him. Yang Hongwu's eyes shot out a terrifying, murderous intent. His tone was full of confidence. Song Lingwu was shocked by Yang Hongwu's confidence. It seemed like Yang Hongwu wasn't simple, and he was hiding a lot of things. How could Song Lingwu's shrewdness be so limited? Although he could see some things about Yang Hongwu, he could also see that Yang Hongwu was somewhat dissatisfied with him. Yang Hongwu's words were probably not only to show his confidence and reveal his strength, but also to deter him. Go to the blazing divine mountain? Song Lingwu looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "Little brother, why are you going to the blazing divine mountain? The flaming divine mountain is filled with danger. Even an invincible Emperor Realm expert would have a slim chance of survival if he were to enter the mountain. Unless he has a fire attribute physique, not many people would be able to come out of the flaming divine mountain alive. Moreover, something has happened to the flaming divine mountain. For some unknown reason, the divine fire in the flaming divine mountain has become extremely violent. Only those with a fire attribute physique and an invincible Emperor Realm expert would be able to survive in the flaming divine mountain. As for the others, they would all die if they were to enter the flaming divine mountain. Therefore, little brother, if it's not something important and you're confident, don't enter the flaming divine mountain." That's right, little brother Yang. What His Majesty said is the truth. If it was before, it would still be possible to enter the flaming sacred mountain. However, entering the flaming sacred mountain now is absolutely impossible. No, it should be said that there is no way out. What Danzi chimed in from the side. Therefore, I suggest you take your time and think about it. Don't enter the blazing divine mountain rashly. Yang Hongwu had a good impression of Huidanzi. This old man was an alchemist like him. He was very strong and wasn't as cunning as the others. Of course, this didn't mean that Huidanzi wasn't scheming. It was just that Huidanzi was much better than the others. In fact, he was much smarter. He knew what to do and what not to do. Many thanks. However, I must go to the blazing divine mountain, no matter how dangerous it is. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said he couldn't give up on entering the blazing divine mountain just because of a few words from Huidanzi. Moreover, to Yang Hongwu, the blazing divine mountain wasn't that dangerous. To others, the blazing divine mountain might be a hell without any hope of survival. However, Yang Hongwu was different. Although he hadn't recovered his strength, no matter what kind of flame it was, it wouldn't pose too much of a threat to him. Moreover, Yang Hongwu guessed that the divine flames in the blazing divine mountain might have originally been his. One was the god extinguishing heavenly flame, and the other was the void divine flame. These two divine flames were originally flames that Yang Hongwu had obtained. Therefore, these flames wouldn't pose any danger to Yang Hongwu. Little brother Yang, are you going to the blazing divine mountain to look for something? Huidanzi was flabbergasted when he heard this. Yang Hongwu clearly knew that entering the blazing divine mountain was fraught with dangers and that it was practically suicide. However, he still wanted to go. There must be some hidden reason behind this. Yang Hongwu was a powerful alchemist. In the path of alchemy, he was much stronger than Huidanzi. Moreover, his methods were astonishing and his talent was boundless. If he fell in the blazing divine mountain, it would be too much of a pity. After all, he was a supreme genius that could rival the monstrous geniuses of the central continent. Once he matured, he would definitely be able to break through the shackles and become a supreme, true god. Therefore, from the bottom of his heart, Huidanzi didn't want Yang Hongwu to go to the blazing divine mountain and risk entering that terrifying place. Although I, Huidanzi, am not a know-it-all, I know many things about the mortal continent. If little brother Yang is looking for something, please tell me. Perhaps I can help you, Huidanzi said sincerely as he looked at Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, "Senior, there is no need to persuade me. The thing I want is in the blazing divine mountain. Don't tell me you are looking for the two divine flames in the blazing divine mountain? Danzi asked in surprise when he saw that Yang Hongwu was so determined. Yang Hongwu nodded his head. That's right. I want to collect the two divine flames in the blazing divine mountain. You, little brother Yang, sigh, collecting the divine flames is impossible. The two divine flames in the blazing divine mountain are incomparably powerful. They have already given birth to their own consciousness, and their strength is extremely terrifying. They are equivalent to experts at the Tai True God realm. It is impossible for you to collect them. I have heard that the blazing divine mountain has already given birth to a world, a fire spirit world. The two divine flames are the masters of this fire spirit world. Therefore, if you want to collect the two divine flames, you must be at the Tai True God realm and have sufficient strength to imprison the fire spirit world. Otherwise, it is impossible to do so. Danzi shook his head and said, Moreover, the blazing divine mountain has been in an uproar recently. The power of the flames in the blazing divine mountain has become even more violent and terrifying. I suspect that the strength of the two divine flames has increased again. Great Consecrator, is this news true? When Song Lingwu heard this, he was also very surprised. He knew that there were two powerful divine fires in the flaming sacred mountain. However, these two divine fires had actually evolved into a fire spirit world. This was truly shocking. If he could obtain a world and become the Lord of the world, his strength would be greatly enhanced. He would break through the shackles and enter the Tai True God realm. He would even be one of the best among the Tai True Gods. It is true. Danzi sighed and said, My first disciple, Ban Shi, had entered the fire spirit world. However, he was killed as soon as he entered. He used up the last of his strength to pass this news to me. Chapter 1325. Flame Shrine. Back then, when Banshee had wanted to enter the flame sacred mountain to search for the divine flame, he had tried to stop her. However, he knew Banshee's temper the best. Once she had made a decision, no one could change her mind. Therefore, in the end, she had entered the flame sacred mountain. Danzi had also thought that since Banshee had the sacred fire spirit body, the flame sacred mountain would be filled with dangers. With the divine flame, it shouldn't be a threat to her. However, what Danzi hadn't expected was that after entering the flame sacred mountain, Banshee still hadn't escaped her fate of death. She had only left behind a final message for him. As for Yang Hongwu, he was a peerless genius like his disciple, Banshee. In fact, he was much stronger than Danzi in terms of alchemy. If he entered the flame sacred mountain, the chances of him surviving were less than 1 in 10,000. Therefore, Danzi truly didn't want to see such a genius fall. Little brother Yang, you have to consider carefully. It's too dangerous to enter the flame sacred mountain. Danzi tried to persuade him. Seeing that Yang Hongwu wasn't moved, Danzi said to Bai Yunjian, Martial nephew Bai, you should persuade little brother Yang. You can't let him take the risk. Senior Danzi, senior brother Bai, you don't have to persuade me. I must enter the flame sacred mountain. No one can stop me. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, If anyone tries to stop me, they will be my enemy. After saying that, Yang Hongwu released a majestic aura. This aura was incomparably powerful, causing people to tremble in fear. Seeing that Yang Hongwu was so determined, Danzi sighed. Back then, his disciple Banshee was the same. Seeing Yang Hongwu reminded Danzi of Banshee. At this very moment, Yang Hongwu's performance was almost the same as his disciple Banshee's. Back then, Banshee's cultivation had been much greater than Yang Hongwu's. Of course, in terms of battle prowess and various techniques, Banshee was much weaker than Yang Hongwu. I have a map here. It's a map of the flaming sacred mountain. I hope it can help you. When Danzi saw that Yang Hongwu insisted on going, he took out something. It was a map drawn by Banshee. Before he died, he gave this map to Danzi. Initially, Danzi had wanted to investigate the death of his disciple when he found out about it. However, he decided against it in the end. He was worried. He was the great consecrator of the Fire God dynasty. If something happened to him, the Fire God dynasty would be annihilated. This was something he didn't want to see. Therefore, for the sake of the Fire God dynasty, he did not go to the Flaming God Mountain to investigate. Yang Hongwu did not refuse the map that Hua Danzi handed over. This map would be of great help to Yang Hongwu. It would help him avoid many detours. After all, he didn't know what he would encounter in the Flaming Sacred Mountain. If he couldn't use his consciousness, then this map would be of great help to him. Therefore, when Hua Danzi gave him the map, Yang Hongwu accepted it without hesitation. "Thank you, Senior Hua Danzi," said Yang Hongwu. "If you enter the fire spirit world, I hope you can bring out the remains of my disciple Ban Chi, if they still exist. I thank you in advance." Hua Danzi bowed to Yang Hongwu. "Senior, you don't have to do this. If I really see them, I will bring them out." Yang Hongwu quickly stopped Hua Danzi when he saw him bowing. For Yang Hongwu, this matter was as easy as lifting a finger. If he really found them, he would definitely bring them out. After all, the map that Hua Danzi had given him was enough for Yang Hongwu to owe him a favor. Song Lingwu, who was standing to the side, sighed when he saw how Hua Danzi treated Yang Hongwu. It was impossible to deal with Yang Hongwu now. Originally, if he had Hua Danzi's help, he would still have a chance to survive. However, even if Hua Danzi was willing to help, he still had to consider the consequences of doing so. Yang Hongwu's origin was extremely mysterious. Who knew what kind of ancient existence was behind him? Therefore, even if Song Lingwu did not want Yang Hongwu to obtain those treasures, he did not dare to make a move before he truly understood Yang Hongwu's identity. He was not Zone Wang. He would not do such a brainless thing. "Little brother Yang Hongwu, come with me," Song Lingwu said to Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu nodded. He was not afraid that Song Lingwu would make a move. He had the void travel technique. Unless it was a special space sealing technique that could seal him, it would be impossible to trap him. Don't worry. His Majesty is a man of his word. Since he promised to give you the divine fire seed, he will not go back on his words. Hua Danzi saw that Bai Yunjian was a little worried. He patted him on the shoulder and said, "We will wait outside." "Okay." Bai Yunjian nodded. Although he trusted Hua Danzi, he still passed the news of Yang Hongwu to the Sky Sword sect. If something happened to Yang Hongwu, such a monstrous genius, it would be the greatest loss to the Sky Sword sect. Moreover, Yang Hongwu was determined to go to the blazing Sacred Mountain. He was extremely worried now. Therefore, he hoped that his master would be able to rush here in a short period of time. Before Yang Hongwu entered the blazing Sacred Mountain, he would be able to stop Yang Hongwu from entering the blazing Sacred Mountain. Yang Hongwu followed the emperor of the Fire God dynasty, Song Lingwu, to a huge hall. The hall was grand and imposing. It gave off a huge pressure. Even Yang Hongwu could feel a trace of pressure. His heart palpitated slightly. This palace wasn't simple at all. Yang Hongwu raised his head and looked. He saw a few ancient words on the Fire God Palace. The words contained a strong and violent power. Yang Hongwu was familiar with this power. It was the power of the law. It was the ancient power of the law. The divine fire seed is in this Fire God Palace. Whether or not you can obtain this divine fire seed will depend on you. Song Lingwu said, "Your Majesty, this doesn't seem appropriate." Yang Hongwu frowned slightly. "You promised to give me the divine flame kindling back then. Now you want me to go and get it myself?" Upon hearing this, Song Lingwu explained, "Little brother, you've misunderstood. The divine fire kindling of my Fire God dynasty has always been in the Fire God Palace. If I want to obtain it, I have to enter the Fire God Palace to subdue it. If there's no way to subdue the divine fire, there's no way to obtain the kindling. If the divine fire kindling is so easy to obtain, it would have been refined by me long ago." Yang Hongwu frowned. He did not expect that he would be tricked. Chapter 13:26. Entering the Fire God Palace. Right. Yang Hongwu said to Song Lingwu, "Since Your Majesty has said so, I will go and get it myself. However, if it causes any negative effects to Your Majesty's Fire God Palace, you can't blame me." Hearing this, Song Lingwu smiled faintly and said in an unconcerned manner, Even if little brother destroys the Fire Divine Palace, I will not have any complaints." What a joke. The Fire God Palace was a powerful treasure that the founding emperor of the Fire God dynasty had obtained. There were also rumors that the Fire God Palace existed before the Fire God dynasty was established. The Fire God dynasty was built around the Fire God Palace. It was rumored that the Fire God Palace was an inheritance hall that was built by an ancient saint god. In the Fire God Palace, there was an ancient inheritance. However, no one had obtained the ancient inheritance. No one had even obtained the divine fire seed in the Fire God Palace. As for destroying the Fire God Palace, it was impossible. Even a super expert who had reached the Tai True God realm would not be able to destroy the Fire God Palace. Hearing Your Majesty's words, I am relieved. Yang Hongwu smiled and turned to enter the Fire God Palace. Just as he entered the Fire God Palace, Yang Hongwu felt a special power enveloping him. It was an overbearing power. It was scorching hot. It was the power of flames. However, Yang Hongwu did not see any flames. The entire Fire God Palace was very calm. It was just like an ordinary divine palace. There was nothing strange about it. Yang Hongwu knew that it was the power of the law of fire. The Fire God Palace was indeed not that simple. The Fire God Palace was not something that an ordinary person could build. The materials used to build the Fire God Palace seemed ordinary. However, Yang Hongwu knew that the materials were very precious. Moreover, there were countless ancient and mysterious seals in the hall. In order to break the Fire God Palace, one had to destroy the seals on the Fire God Palace. Otherwise, it would be impossible to break the Fire God Palace. Where's the fire seed? Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes and searched his surroundings. The Fire God Shrine seemed to be only this big, but Yang Hongwu knew that this should only be the surface. The real Fire God Shrine should be in a different space. Only by finding that different space would he be able to find the real treasure in the Fire God Shrine, which was the location of the divine fire seed. If it was an ordinary person, they might not be able to find a location of the alternate space. However, who was Yang Hongwu? Yang Hongwu's perception was very sharp. Moreover, he cultivated the art of space and had his own inner world. He was very sensitive to different spaces. If it was a very powerful space world, Yang Hongwu might not be able to find it. However, this space world was not boundlessly powerful. Moreover, this space world did not belong to that kind of sealed existence. Therefore, it was not too difficult to find this alternate space. In fact, it was equivalent to a secret realm. Yang Hongwu had entered countless secret realms before. Therefore, there was nothing in this secret realm that Yang Hongwu found troublesome. Yang Hongwu raised his right hand, and several elixirs appeared in his palm. Spiritual power condensed, and Yang Hongwu shot out the elixirs. These elixirs immediately turned into specks of starlight and scattered in all directions. This was the restriction-breaking elixir. As soon as the restriction-breaking elixir appeared, the seal in the Fire God Shrine suddenly changed. Light flickered and a space door appeared. It's here. Yang Hongwu's figure moved, turned into a ray of light, and entered the space door. Song Lingwu, who was outside the Fire God Shrine, naturally knew that if he wanted to obtain the divine fire seed, he had to enter the real Fire God Shrine. However, he did not tell Yang Hongwu how to enter the real Fire God Shrine. He wanted Yang Hongwu to know the difficulties and retreat. However, when Yang Hongwu found the entrance to the real Fire God Shrine and entered it, Song Lingwu felt it. His expression changed slightly. Although he knew that Yang Hongwu was incomparably mysterious and his methods might not be able to stop Yang Hongwu, what surprised him was that the speed at which Yang Hongwu found the real Fire God Shrine was too fast. Song Lingwu sighed. If he had known earlier, he would have directly sent Yang Hongwu into the real Fire God Shrine. As for whether Yang Hongwu could obtain the divine fire seed in the Fire God Shrine, Song Lingwu was not worried. The divine fire seed was incomparably mysterious and powerful. Moreover, this divine fire seed had already given birth to its own consciousness. This divine fire seed was the fire seed left behind by the founding emperor of the Fire God dynasty. It was incomparably arrogant. If one wanted to obtain this fire seed, the first condition was to possess the bloodline of the Fire God dynasty. This was the most important condition. The second condition was to have outstanding talent. Neither of these two conditions could be omitted. Over the years, countless geniuses had appeared in the Fire God dynasty. However, none of them were able to obtain the recognition of this divine fire seed in the Fire God shrine and become its master. As for Yang Hongwu, his talent was indeed astonishing. His aptitude could be said to be outstanding. In the Fire God dynasty, even his ancestor, the founding emperor of the Fire God dynasty, might not be comparable to him. If he was a member of the Fire God dynasty and possessed the bloodline of the Fire God dynasty, then it would be possible for him to obtain the recognition of the divine fire seed. Unfortunately, he was not a member of the Fire God dynasty. No matter how outstanding he was still an outsider. Without the bloodline of the Fire God dynasty, he was destined to have no fate with the divine fire seed. As for whether Yang Hongwu could obtain any treasures or opportunities in the Fire God shrine, he did not care. The divine fire seed was the most precious thing in the Fire God shrine. It was also the inheritance of the entire Fire God shrine. If he could not obtain the divine fire seed, he would not be able to obtain the truly important inheritance. As for other opportunities, no matter what they were all within Song Lingwu's tolerance. After entering the real Fire God shrine, Yang Hongwu unfolded his consciousness. The entire space was huge. Its vastness was beyond Yang Hongwu's expectations. Although this space was not as good as the space world of the Dragon Gate, it was still absolutely amazing. It was even comparable to the space of the vast Heaven Fairy Pagoda. Perhaps this Fire God shrine itself was a powerful treasure. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. Back then, weren't the 4 major immortal mansions also powerful treasures? This Fire God shrine was probably also a true treasure. Moreover, it was also quite a good one. If he could obtain this true treasure, Song Lingwu would not even have a place to cry when the time came. Chapter 1327. Fire Lotus. Although the space of the Fire God shrine was vast, it wasn't too difficult to find the divine fire's kindling. There was a large volcano in the south. Yang Hongwu guessed that the divine fire's kindling was most likely there. Yang Hongwu rushed towards the volcano in a flash. After a quarter of an hour, Yang Hongwu arrived in front of the volcano. Along the way, he encountered many strange beasts, all of which were the fire attribute. However, these strange beasts were nothing in front of Yang Hongwu and were easily killed by him. It's here. Yang Hongwu looked at the volcano. It wasn't big, but the power of fire it contained was more majestic and dense than any other place in the Fire God shrine. Therefore, if there was a divine fire's kindling, there wouldn't be any other possibility. It's underground. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. He jumped up and arrived at the mouth of the volcano. There was a passage that led directly into the depths of the volcano. If he wanted to get the divine fire's kindling, he would have to take the risk. In the depths of the volcano, Yang Hongwu felt several auras. These auras should be from strange beasts. They were definitely comparable to great Emperor Realm experts. Yang Hongwu cursed in his heart. Song Lingwu was really a bastard. If an ordinary person entered this place, not only would they not be able to get the divine fire's kindling, they would also be eaten by these powerful strange beasts. However, a few strange beasts couldn't stop Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu took out a talisman and activated the talisman's power. It instantly turned into a giant beast. It was a water dragon beast, a talisman beast. Yang Hongwu had obtained the inheritance of the divine talisman technique. He had already reached the realm where he could refine talisman beasts. For an ordinary person, it might be impossible for a talisman to turn into a strange beast. However, it wasn't difficult for Yang Hongwu. The water dragon beast was a water-attributed exotic beast. It was the archenemy of the fire-attributed exotic beasts in the volcano. Once a water-attributed exotic beast appeared in the vicinity, they would absolutely not tolerate it. As such, the moment the water dragon's aura appeared, the few fire-attributed exotic beasts in the depths of the cave immediately went berserk, turning into balls of flames and rushing out. The moment these strange beasts rushed out, Yang Hongwu turned into a gust of wind and entered the depths of the cave. The temperature in the depths of the volcano was getting hotter and hotter. Yang Hongwu could feel the scorching heat. He had to admit that the divine fire here was no ordinary divine fire. It was at least on the same level as Zi Fenghuang's divine fire. In fact, it might even be a level higher than Zi Fenghuang's divine fire. If Yang Hongwu could refine the divine fire at this time, his strength would increase by a lot. At the very least, he would be able to refine pills and weapons much more easily. That way, they would have a much higher chance of entering the blazing sacred mountain. There's another exotic beast. Yang Hongwu entered the depths of the volcano cave and discovered that there was an exotic beast hidden in the stone chamber. Not far from the exotic beast was a square pool filled with boiling magma. On the other side of the pool, there was a plant. This plant made Yang Hongwu's eyes widen. It was actually a fire lotus. The fire lotus was a spiritual herb of heaven and earth. Moreover, it was not an ordinary spiritual herb. One must know that Yang Hongwu did not sense the existence of this fire lotus when he was above. If it was an ordinary imperial herb, there was no reason why Yang Hongwu could not sense it. Even though Yang Hongwu had entered the stone chamber, he did not sense the fire lotus's aura. If he had not seen it, he would not have known that there was a fire lotus here. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was certain that this fire lotus was an existence that surpassed an imperial herb. It should be called a divine herb. Even if it was not a divine herb, it was at least a semi-divine herb. It would not be long before it became a real divine herb. Roar! When Yang Hongwu got closer, the exotic beast lying on the ground let out a furious roar. It turned around and crawled to its feet, glaring at Yang Hongwu. Little thing, move aside. Yang Hongwu looked at the exotic beast that resembled a poodle. It was a flaming barbaric lion, whose strength was equivalent to a peak Great Emperor realm expert. Its combat strength was astonishing, especially the flaming barbaric lion's natal flame. Although it was not as strong as the divine fire, it was still very terrifying. It was only slightly weaker than Zi Fenghuang's divine fire of the phoenix. Roar! Human, this is not a place where you should be. Hurry up and leave. The flaming barbaric lion looked at Yang Hongwu without any fear in its eyes. In its eyes, Yang Hongwu was very weak. Yang Hongwu was like an ant that it could kill with a single breath. Therefore, the flaming barbaric lion did not take Yang Hongwu too seriously. However, the flaming barbaric lion was still a little afraid of this weak human being who had managed to sneak in without making a sound. If there were other humans who had entered this place, it would be troublesome. Little kitty, move aside. The thing inside is mine, Yang Hongwu said. Human, are you courting death? The flaming barbaric lion was enraged. How dare this damned human call it a little kitty? What was worse was that he actually dared to covet the flaming lotus. The flaming barbaric lion was the guardian of the flaming lotus. It had been guarding the flaming lotus for thousands of years. It had been guarding the flaming lotus ever since it gained sentience. It did not know why it was guarding the flaming lotus, but it knew very well that if the flaming lotus was taken away by someone, it would be the end of it. Therefore, if someone tried to take the flaming lotus by force, it would stop them at all costs. Little kitty, look. What is this? Yang Hongwu took out an elixir. It was a beast-taming elixir. As soon as the beast-taming elixir was taken out, the flaming barbaric lion's eyes were immediately filled with desire. Yang Hongwu took a deep breath. He did not expect the beast-taming elixir he had left behind to be so useful at a time like this. If he did not have the beast-taming elixir, Yang Hongwu would have been able to deal with the flaming barbaric lion. However, with the beast-taming elixir, it would be much easier. Moreover, Yang Hongwu could sense that there was an even more terrifying fellow in the depths of the magma pool. That was the existence that Yang Hongwu feared. As for the flaming barbaric lion, although it would cause Yang Hongwu some trouble, Yang Hongwu did not take it to heart. Roar! Chapter 1328. Flaming Lion Yang Hongwu chuckled when he saw this. He struck out a seal, and a ray of light shot into the lion's head. A mark appeared on the lion's forehead. Yang Hongwu felt a connection with the flaming lion. Through this connection, Yang Hongwu could easily control the lion's life and death. Damned human, what did you do to me? The flaming lion roared in shock when it sensed that its life was no longer under its control. "Kitty, do you want to die?" Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. This flaming lion actually dared to throw a tantrum at him. It really didn't know what it was doing. Yang Hongwu moved his mind. The flaming lion immediately felt excruciating pain. It couldn't bear the terrible pain and rolled on the ground. Roar! The flaming lion kept roaring. "Damned human, it hurts. It hurts so much." After a while, the flaming lion finally couldn't bear the pain and shouted, "Human, I submit. I'm willing to submit to you." "Humph, Kitty, if you don't listen to me, it won't be as simple as just a little pain next time." Yang Hongwu looked at the flaming lion and nodded in satisfaction. The flaming lion had the strength of a great emperor. Moreover, it was a fire-attributed exotic beast. Its combat strength was amazing. With this flaming lion, he didn't need to do anything if he encountered a situation like the previous one. The flaming lion was enough. "Master." The flaming lion was as docile as a pug at this moment. It didn't have the majestic aura of a flaming lion at all. Yang Hongwu looked at this fellow and couldn't help but shake his head. What a despicable wretch. However, this was normal. The beast-taming elixir was too powerful. Once an exotic beast swallowed the beast-taming elixir and formed a master-slave contract, the pain it would suffer if it dared to disobey was definitely not something an ordinary exotic beast could endure. It would truly be worse than death. It was impossible for an exotic beast or savage beast to die after being poisoned by the beast-taming elixir. "Very good. From now on, you'll be called Flaming Lion." Yang Hongwu nodded in satisfaction. "Yes, master." "Fire Lion, what's the background of that guy in the pool?" Yang Hongwu could feel that there was a terrifying energy in the depths of the pool. This energy could practically contend against a primordial, true God expert. This made Yang Hongwu somewhat fearful. If that thing was enraged, Yang Hongwu wasn't completely confident. Although the fire lotus was precious and rare, and Yang Hongwu wouldn't give it up, Yang Hongwu wasn't willing to risk his life for it. Therefore, he had to know his enemy and come up with a foolproof plan before he attacked the fire lotus. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if the thing in the pool was angered. "Master, you can't provoke that guy. You can't provoke him. That guy's strength is far beyond what I can handle." When the flaming barbaric lion heard this, it thought that Yang Hongwu was going to attack that guy. It was scared out of its wits and hurriedly stopped him. Yang Hongwu frowned and said, "Why are you talking so much? Just answer whatever I ask you. Do you think I don't know?" Yang Hongwu wasn't satisfied with the flaming barbaric lion's answer. He snorted coldly, and the flaming barbaric lion was startled and immediately fell to the ground. "Stop pretending." Yang Hongwu was a little speechless when he saw the flaming brute lion's appearance. This fellow was a lion, after all. Its appearance and performance were a little too inferior. It was so arrogant before, but now that it had been subdued by him, it seemed to have become a little too weak. "Master, that's a deity," the flaming barbaric lion said. "He's a very powerful deity. He's cultivating in the depths of the magma pool. This fire lotus was planted here by him. When I was still a lion cub without spiritual intelligence, he caught me and brought me here to guard this fire lotus." "A deity?" Hearing this, Yang Hongwu squinted his eyes. The so-called divine spirit was most likely an expert of Tai real God realm. A primordial, true God expert of the fire attribute? No. Because of the restrictions of the laws in this world, primordial true God experts couldn't stay in this world. Once they reached the primordial true God realm, they would be taken to the deity plane. However, the flaming barbaric lion shouldn't be lying. So what was the origin of the guy cultivating in the magma pool? However, one thing was certain. The guy in the depths of the magma pool was very strong. At least, with Yang Hongwu's current cultivation, it was impossible for him to deal with this guy. Unless he used the Destruction Sky Palace and the Scroll of Good Fortune to set up a large array, he might be able to deal with this guy. Otherwise, Yang Hongwu didn't have much confidence in dealing with this guy. It could even be said that he didn't have a shred of confidence. Right, if it wasn't the original body, then a clone or an incarnation would work too. Thinking of this, Yang Hongwu's lips curled into a smile. The guy in the depths of the magma pool probably wasn't the original body, but an incarnation or a clone that was deliberately left behind. This was the fire shrine. Perhaps this was the owner of the fire shrine or the weapon spirit of the fire shrine. Yes, if it was the weapon spirit of the fire shrine, then it was even more reasonable. If it was the weapon spirit of the fire shrine, his strength could even surpass that of an ordinary primordial true god expert. The flaming barbaric lion said that the guy was a deity. To any living creature in the fire shrine, the owner of the fire shrine or the weapon spirit of the fire shrine was the deity of this world, the ruler of this world. Thinking of this, Yang Hongwu hesitated. If it was the weapon spirit of the fire shrine, then it would be fine. He could fight for the fire shrine to recognize him as its owner and subdue the fire shrine. However, if it was the original owner of the fire shrine, then it would be troublesome. The fire shrine was the other party's treasure, and it was very likely to be his true life treasure. If he wanted to obtain his true life treasure, wouldn't he be courting death? Even if Yang Hongwu had many treasures on him, his strength hadn't recovered, and his cultivation was too low. Moreover, this was the internal space of the fire shrine, and Yang Hongwu didn't have the upper hand. Once a fight broke out, there wouldn't be any time or place. This was what Yang Hongwu was worried about. Fire Lion, what if I take this fire lotus? Will that guy sense it? Yang Hongwu asked. I don't know. The fire lion shook its head and said, However, Master, this fire lotus isn't that easy to take. Even if it's me, if I get too close to the fire lotus, I'll be burned to ashes. When it said this, the flaming barbaric lion's eyes flashed with fear. Chapter 1329. Red Lotus of Karma. Fire Yang Hongwu suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Fire Lotus, could it be the Red Lotus of Karma fire? If it was really the Red Lotus of Karma fire, it would be incredible. Yang Hongwu looked at the fire lotus in front of him. The more he looked at it, the more it looked like it. Could it be the legendary Red Lotus of Karma fire? If it was the Red Lotus of Karma fire, he had to get it no matter what. After he got the god-destroying heavenly flame and void divine flame, he would merge them with the Red Lotus of Karma fire and become the most terrifying and powerful flame. Move aside. Let me try and see if I can get the fire lotus. Yang Hongwu thought for a while and set up a formation around him. He was ready to try and get the fire lotus. After Yang Hongwu set up the formation, he jumped up and appeared beside the fire lotus in an instant. When he got close to the fire lotus, Yang Hongwu could feel the scorching temperature. The closer he got, the higher the temperature. However, it was not the high temperature that was scary. It was the burning sensation of the soul. Yang Hongwu realized that the karma on his body was burned by the flame. Yang Hongwu was surprised. Burning the karma. Isn't this the effect of the Red Lotus of Karma fire? If that was the case, the fire lotus should be the Red Lotus of Karma fire. Only the Red Lotus of Karma fire could have such an effect. If it was an ordinary person who encountered the Red Lotus of Karma fire, he would run away as far as he could. Once he encountered the Karma fire, he would not be able to resist the Red Lotus of Karma fire. However, Yang Hongwu was not an ordinary person. He was not afraid of the Red Lotus of Karma fire. On the contrary, after confirming that it was the Red Lotus of Karma fire, he was extremely excited. Very good. Yang Hongwu kept forming seals with both of his hands. A powerful mind power burst out like a mountain that could suppress everything. Yang Hongwu's spiritual consciousness was much stronger than an ordinary person's. Although his cultivation had not fully recovered, his spiritual power and spiritual consciousness were definitely comparable to an ordinary primordial true celestial realm expert. Come with me, Yang Hongwu said. Yang Hongwu knew that the fire lotus should have its own consciousness. Therefore, it would be even better if this fella could recognize him as its master. If you recognize me as your master, I can help you evolve faster. I have godly flames for you to devour and grow. Yang Hongwu discovered that the fire lotus actually swayed a little. A thought came from the fiery red lotus. Can you really give me the divine fire to evolve? A voice appeared in Yang Hongwu's mind. Yang Hongwu was overjoyed. He knew that this was the consciousness of the red lotus of hellfire. That's right. I know of a place that has the God-destroying heavenly flame and the void divine flame. If you're able to devour those two divine flames, you should be able to directly enter the mature stage and even evolve into a rank 24 red karmic fire lotus, Yang Hongwu said. Currently, the red lotus of hellfire was only a rank 6 red lotus of hellfire. It was far from maturing. If it could devour one divine flame, it could evolve into a rank 12 red lotus of hellfire. If it could devour more divine flames, it might even evolve into a rank 36 red lotus of hellfire. Of course, if it reached the rank 36, it would not be a red lotus of hellfire, but a chaos red lotus of fortune. In the untainted 3 realms, there was a rank 36 green lotus of fortune called the chaos green lotus. At that time, the chaos green lotus was divided into 3, becoming a rank 12 golden lotus, a rank 12 red lotus, and a rank 12 black lotus. Of course, there were other things. Each of them was incomparably precious and powerful. If this red lotus of hellfire could evolve into a rank 36 red lotus of hellfire, it would be incredible. It would definitely become an existence comparable to the Fortune Dragon Gate. I don't have enough strength to devour the divine flames now. Hearing Yang Hongwu's words, the red lotus of hellfire was indeed very tempted. It wanted to evolve very much, but there was not enough fire spiritual energy here for it to evolve. Although there was a lot of spiritual energy here, in fact, it did not get much of it. It was all devoured by the guy in the depths of the magma. I can help you, Yang Hongwu said, but your strength is too weak. Fire Lotus said. When Yang Hongwu heard this, he smiled and said, "You're talking about my cultivation realm. Although I'm only a saint now, my original cultivation was that of an invincible great emperor. Although I'm not at the level of a Tai true god, I've survived the thunder tribulation of the Great Way. Therefore, my potential is limitless. If I recover to my peak, I can easily kill a Tai true god. Okay, I promise to follow you. However, you must help me evolve and find the divine flames for me to devour." Fire Lotus said, "If you can do it, I will go with you. I can make a heaven-way blood oath." Yang Hongwu said, "Okay, you can make the oath." Fire Lotus's voice came into Yang Hongwu's mind again. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. Fire Lotus was still a child and was very naive. It made Yang Hongwu a little embarrassed. A heaven-way blood oath was not a threat to Yang Hongwu at all. He had even withstood the Great Tao lightning tribulation. Moreover, it was the strengthened version of the Great Tao lightning tribulation. Although he did not really go through it, Yang Hongwu was confident that he could succeed if his cultivation was restored to its peak, and he went through the Great Tao lightning tribulation again. However, it was not now, but after his cultivation was restored. However, Yang Hongwu still made the heaven-way blood oath even though he could not bear to do it. Only a fool would refuse such a good thing. Moreover, he was going to obtain the God-destroying heavenly fire and the void divine fire. If he really refined the red lotus of fire, Yang Hongwu would not care about the divine fire anymore. At that time, he would go to the blazing divine mountain. The entire blazing divine mountain would be devoured by Yang Hongwu. No, it should be devoured by the red lotus of fire and become its energy for evolution. After Yang Hongwu made the heaven-way blood oath, the red lotus of fire turned into a ray of fire and entered between Yang Hongwu's eyebrows. Before that, an invisible contract was formed. The red lotus of fire automatically recognized its master and signed the contract. You will be called Fire Lotus. Yang Hongwu realized that a fire lotus had appeared in his sea of consciousness. It could vaguely transform into a little girl. This little girl was the red lotus of fire. Great, I have a name. I will be called Fire Lotus. Fire Lotus was overjoyed and cheered. "Thank you, Master. I finally have a name." "Well, you don't have to call me Master. Call me Brother." Yang Hongwu thought for a while and said, "Brother." "All right, Fire Lotus, who is the guy in the depths of the magma?" Yang Hongwu was concerned about this. Chapter 1330. The Fire God Awakens, of course. "Lianer, what's his background?" Yang Hongwu continued to ask since Hua Lian didn't get to the point. "He calls himself the Fire God." Huolian continued. However, that guy is very hateful and annoying, but he's also very powerful. This is just a clone of his. Yang Hongwu was shocked when he heard that. That guy was indeed not simple. Just a clone had such a terrifying aura. He was afraid that he wouldn't be a match for him. Oh no. Suddenly, Lianer said, "Brother, let's leave this place quickly. That hateful bastard is about to wake up." Okay. Yang Hongwu also felt that the energy was becoming more and more violent. At this time, Yang Hongwu didn't want to face that guy. "Let's go." Yang Hongwu turned around and grabbed the flaming lion. He tore open the void and disappeared in a flash. The blazing barbaric lion was stupefied. It discovered that its master was actually so powerful that he could subdue the terrifying blazing lotus. Originally, the flaming lion could enter Yang Hongwu's battle pet space to cultivate. However, the fire lotus was in Yang Hongwu's mind, so the flaming lion didn't dare to enter. It was afraid that it would be burned alive by the fire lotus. Therefore, although it could enter the battle pet space, it was unwilling to do so. Therefore, Yang Hongwu had no choice but to bring it up. "We really left that damn place." "Great, this is really great." The fire lotus felt that it was no longer in that space and cheered happily. The flaming lion was also very excited. "Let's go. Let's leave this place." Yang Hongwu flashed again and left the Fire God Palace. After leaving the Fire God Palace, Yang Hongwu specially set up a formation. It was a special formation that changed some of the restrictions in the Fire God Palace and erased his aura. At this time, in the Fire God Palace's space world, a man woke up from the depths of the magma and appeared in the stone room. He realized that the fire lotus and the flaming lion were gone. "Bastard! Who took my red karmic fire lotus away?" He shouted angrily. A berserk aura erupted, and the entire stone room was flooded by terrifying lava. The volcano instantly erupted, and everything within 100 miles was affected. Countless strange beasts died tragically under this terrifying volcanic eruption. This man was the fire god. He found the red karmic fire lotus with great difficulty, but he had been unable to refine it. And he had a powerful enemy who had been hunting him. For tens of thousands of years, he had been recovering his cultivation in the depths of the magma. However, he did not expect that his red karmic fire lotus would be snatched away by someone else. Only then did he wake up. This was the lower realm, not the deity plane. In his eyes, people from the lower realm were like ants. However, this ant from the lower realm had actually taken away his red karmic fire lotus without making a sound. Bastard! The fire god's huge mental strength spread out crazily. He searched the entire space of the fire god palace, but he did not find anything strange. The other party was not in the fire god palace. An expert. He was definitely an expert. His strength was not below him. He might even be stronger than him. Did that bastard also come to the lower realm? The fire god's eyes flashed with a terrifying light. The fire god palace was a treasure that he had built. It was extremely powerful and was connected to his spirit. If an expert of the same level entered the fire god palace, there was no reason why he could not sense it. Of course, there was no need to talk about those who were weaker than him. Since he was not in the space of the fire god palace, he must be outside. Suddenly, he recalled something. When he came to the lower realm, there was a martial artist from the lower realm who found this place. He had given that lad some opportunities. After all, that lad's aptitude was not bad. Now that tens of thousands of years had passed, that lad's strength should be enough to break through the shackles and enter the deity realm. Could it be that the descendant of that lad had taken away the red karmic fire lotus? However, he denied this thought. It was impossible. The red karmic fire lotus was overbearing. Even with his strength in the Tai, true god realm, he could not completely refine the red karmic fire lotus. After so many years, he still had not succeeded. It was impossible for others to do so. The possibility of it being snatched and refined by force was not high. Then, there was only one other possibility. The red karmic fire lotus had chosen to leave. Moreover, it could only leave with the help of the descendant of the disciple that he had taken in. Thinking of this, a cold light flashed in the fire god's eyes. Whether it was the descendant of the disciple or not, he had to pay the price for snatching his things. At that moment, Yang Hanwu had already left the Fire God Palace. In addition, the entire Fire God Palace was trapped by him with a special formation. Even if that lad woke up, he would need a certain amount of time to break the formation. It was not something that could be broken in a short period of time. Although the formation did not have strong attacking power, it was a strong, illusory formation. Even if it was an expert in the Tai, true God realm, Yang Hanwu was confident that he could trap him for a few hours in the formation. Unless the other party was an expert in formations, he would definitely not be able to break out of the formation in a short period of time. Of course, there was another possibility. Unless the dragon vein of the Fire God dynasty was cut off. The formation that Yang Hanwu had set up was set up with the dragon vein of the Fire God dynasty as the foundation. The dragon vein of the Fire God dynasty was the foundation of the formation. If the dragon vein of the Fire God dynasty was destroyed, the array formation would naturally fall apart without the need to attack. Yang Hanwu did not believe that Song Lingwu and the others would destroy the dragon vein of the Fire God dynasty. If they really did that, Yang Hanwu would have to admit that he was unlucky. He's out. Seeing Yang Hanwu appear, Hua Danzi was elated. On the other hand, Song Lingwu was a little surprised. He did not expect Yang Hanwu to come out so easily. Moreover, he did not seem to have any injuries on his body. This was what made him curious. However, since Yang Hanwu did not have any injuries on his body, he should not have obtained any treasures. In the Fire God Palace, every treasure was guarded by an exotic beast. Although there were countless opportunities in the Fire God Palace, it was not easy to obtain them. If it was the royal bloodline, it would be much easier. On the other hand, if it was not the royal bloodline, it would be much more difficult. The danger that one would encounter was a few times more than the royal bloodline. Yang Hanwu nodded. Chapter 1331. National Treasurer Yang Hanwu shook his head and said, "I didn't get it." Song Lingwu smiled in his heart when he heard Yang Hanwu's words. He seemed to have expected that Yang Hanwu would not be able to obtain the Divine Fire Seed. However, he said, "Little brother, the Divine Fire Seed is in the Fire Divine Palace. Since you are unable to obtain it, don't blame me. However, little brother, you can rest assured that I will compensate you. How about this, little brother? You can choose another treasure from the treasury of the Fire God Empire." "Your Majesty is wise," Hua Danzi exclaimed and continued. "Although little brother Yang has entered the Fire God Palace, you didn't get the Divine Fire Spark. Your Majesty is wise and mighty." Yang Hanwu couldn't help but laugh in his heart when he heard Hua Danzi's words. This old man actually knew how to flatter. However, Yang Hanwu wasn't a fool. It would be a waste if he didn't get something good. He thanked Song Lingwu respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Let's go to the National Treasury." Song Lingwu waved his hand and said loudly. Song Lingwu regretted his words. After all, there were many treasures in the National Treasury. He had promised to let Yang Hanwu choose whatever he wanted. With Yang Hanwu's eyesight, he naturally wouldn't choose an ordinary item. As the ruler of a country, his words carried enormous weight. It would be embarrassing if he went back on his words. Yang Hanwu, Bai Yunjian, and the others followed behind Song Lingwu. Soon, the group arrived at a palace. This palace was heavily guarded by the imperial guards. Moreover, each of them was holding a special god-exterminating crossbow. The power of these god-exterminating crossbows was higher than the ones used by the imperial guards. Moreover, what surprised Yang Hanwu was that there was an old man guarding this place. The old man's aura was cold, but he was very strong. Peak Great Emperor Realm. He was actually a peak Great Emperor Realm expert. However, this old man looked like an ordinary person sweeping the courtyard. Yang Hanwu sighed in his heart. Could it be that some powerful experts liked to pretend to be servants? However, Yang Hanwu did not point it out. What surprised Yang Hanwu was that Emperor Song Lingwu didn't seem to know that the old man sweeping the floor was an expert. It was as if he didn't see him. Not only Song Lingwu, but even Hua Danzi felt the same way. Of course, the old man's concealment technique was very powerful. Furthermore, His cultivation had already reached the level of returning to his original state. He looked just like an ordinary person. Yang Hongwu was different. Although his cultivation was only in the saint realm, his spiritual strength and divine thought were very powerful. He was once an invincible great emperor realm expert and had withstood the thunder tribulation of the Great Path. Although he didn't have Mao Er's delusion breaker eye, his eye technique was still top-notch. That was why the old man had nowhere to hide in front of him. Yang Hongwu thought to himself that perhaps Song Lingwu knew of the old man's existence, but it was inconvenient for him to expose himself in front of him, so he did not bow to the old man. Regarding this, Yang Hongwu did not care. This was human nature. Your Majesty. Seeing Song Lingwu's arrival, the guards guarding the treasury knelt down one by one and saluted him. Rise. Where's Supervisor Lang? Song Lingwu looked at the leading guard and asked. Supervisor Lang is cultivating. I'll go get him now, the guard said. Song Lingwu nodded. When Yang Hongwu entered the place, he sensed two auras. One belonged to the old man who was sweeping the floor, while the other belonged to an expert who was in the late stage of the Emperor realm. This person's aura was extremely violent. There was no doubt that he should be the so-called Supervisor Lang. As the supervisor of the Imperial Treasury, it would be inappropriate if he didn't have some strength. A few minutes later, a middle-aged man walked over. This middle-aged man was tall and burly. He had a square face, thick eyebrows, and big eyes. From his appearance, one would have a good impression of him. He was the kind of person who was honest and upright. However, Yang Hongwu felt a murderous aura from him. It was obvious that this seemingly honest and upright man wasn't as simple as he seemed. Your Majesty, Song Lingwu nodded and said to Supervisor Lang, Come, Supervisor Lang. Let me introduce you. This is little brother Yang Hongwu. He is the most outstanding genius of the Sky Sword Sect's younger generation. He saved my life and the entire Fire God dynasty. Song Lingwu pointed at Yang Hongwu and said to Supervisor Lang, Young Hero Yang, nice to meet you. Supervisor Lang responded politely to Song Lingwu and Yang Hongwu. In his eyes, Yang Hongwu saw a trace of disdain. Yang Hongwu didn't care. This guy wasn't simple. He was so arrogant. Yang Hongwu didn't put a late Great Emperor Realm expert in his eyes. The number of late Great Emperor Realm experts who had died in his hands wasn't small. Hello, Supervisor Lang. Yang Hongwu also nodded and said, Supervisor Lang, this time, I brought little brother Yang here to let him enter the treasury and pick some treasures, Song Lingwu said. Your Majesty, what do you want to pick? I will pick them for your Majesty, Supervisor Lang said. No. Let little brother Yang go in and pick 5 Emperor weapons, 10 Emperor herbs. In addition, let little brother Yang pick any treasure from the treasury, Song Lingwu said. Supervisor Lang was shocked when he heard that. He looked at Song Lingwu and said, Your Majesty, are you joking? 5 Emperor weapons, 10 Emperor herbs, and a random treasure. This. Supervisor Lang was dumbfounded. So many things, even for the Fire God dynasty, was a huge fortune. Although it was not a serious loss, such a huge loss would still cause a big impact to the Fire God dynasty. Emperor weapons and Emperor herbs were not cabbages. Currently, only the consecrators of the Fire God dynasty were qualified to obtain Emperor weapons. Ordinary Great Emperor Realm experts did not have Emperor weapons. As for Emperor herbs, they were equally precious. Even Hua Danzi, as the great consecrator of the Fire God dynasty, had to go through a strict examination before he was qualified to use Emperor herbs. However, Yang Hongwu, who was just a Saint Realm martial artist and an outsider, actually gave him so many Emperor weapons and Emperor herbs at once. This was too absurd. Why? Don't tell me there are so many things in my treasury? Song Lingwu's face turned ugly when he saw Supervisor Lang's reaction. Although he felt the pinch, these things were nothing compared to the entire Fire God dynasty. If the treasures were gone, they could be obtained again. If the entire Fire God dynasty was gone, then there would be nothing left. Song Lingwu was very clear about which was more important. Chapter 1332. Dragon Gate Fragment. Yang Hongwu was speechless when he heard this. As an emperor, he actually needed to inform his ancestors before he could use the items in the national treasury. This was simply absurd. If the monarch of a country didn't even have the right to mobilize a portion of the treasures in the national treasury, then the monarch of a country would be too sullen. Seeing Yang Hongwu's gaze, Song Lingwu was also embarrassed. His face sank as he said to Steward Lang, "No need. I have already promised young hero Yang. Do you want me to go back on my word? I am the emperor of the Fire God dynasty, the ruler of a country. Don't tell me I don't even have this bit of authority? Your Majesty, please calm down. Your Majesty, please calm down. It's not that I want to disobey your Majesty, but this is the decision made by the ancestors. If your Majesty is only using 1 or 2 Emperor weapons or 1 or 2 Emperor medicines, I will definitely not say anything. However, your Majesty, the things that you want to use now are far beyond this range. You must inform the ancestors and obtain their consent before you can open the treasury and take out the treasures. Otherwise, without the consent of the ancestors, there's no way to take out the treasures from the treasury." Seeing that Song Lingwu was angry, Steward Lang's expression turned ugly. After all, Song Lingwu was the emperor of the Fire God dynasty, and he was a subject of the Fire God dynasty. A subject was still a subject. As the saying goes, if the monarch wants his subject to die, the subject has no choice but to die. The monarch of a country was definitely the highest existence in a country. If his words were not dignified, then the monarch of a country would be meaningless. Yang Hongwu found it funny. Such a ruler of a country was really sullen. Bai Yunjian was the same. Only Song Lingwu's face grew darker and darker. "Steward Lang, are my words useless?" he asked coldly. "Your Majesty, please don't make things difficult for me," Minister Lang said. "Don't force me to kill you," Song Lingwu said coldly. "I am the monarch of a country. The entire Fire God dynasty belongs to me. Do you think I don't have the right to use my things? I can give it to whoever I want. Get out of my way." Yang Hongwu laughed in his heart. This Steward Lang was too arrogant. As an emperor, how could he allow someone to threaten him in his own country? This was especially true of the imperial treasury, which was the foundation of the country. Now, as the emperor, if he wanted to use the imperial treasury and the items in the imperial treasury, he had to get the permission of others. How could he not be angry? When Steward Lang saw that Song Lingwu was really angry and his eyes were already flashing with murderous intent, he finally sighed and stepped aside. The emperor was still the emperor. In the distance, the old man who was sweeping the floor shook his head when he saw this scene. He sighed softly and continued sweeping with his head lowered. However, in that instant, Yang Hongwu felt that the old man's aura had locked onto him. Yang Hongwu's senses were very sharp. Although this aura was very hidden, Yang Hongwu still felt it. "Your Majesty, you still want to stop me?" Song Lingwu frowned when he saw that Steward Lang had stepped aside, but continued to speak. He was really angry. Steward Lang had made him lose face in front of Yang Hongwu and the others. If it wasn't for his tolerance, things wouldn't have been so simple. If it was another bad-tempered emperor, he might have ordered Steward Lang to be killed. "I dare not." Steward Lang shook his head and said, "I just want to remind your Majesty that young hero Yang is only in the Saint Realm. If he enters the imperial treasury and chooses the treasures without the approval of the ancestors, he will not be able to take them out. If he takes them out by force, he may even lose his life. You don't have to worry about this, old Steward Lang." Yang Hongwu smiled and said, "If I die in there, it's because I'm incompetent and have no fate with the treasures." How could Yang Hongwu not see that this so-called Steward Lang was dissatisfied with him and even had a trace of murderous intent? This guy probably wanted to attack him. Perhaps it was because of him that Steward Lang had offended Song Lingwu. However, Yang Hongwu really did not care about Steward Lang's murderous intent. If he dared to attack him, Yang Hongwu would make him pay the price. "Steward Lang, just do your own thing." Song Lingwu waved his hand in disgust. After that, Song Lingwu took Yang Hongwu into the imperial treasury. The imperial treasury of the Fire God dynasty was very large. The treasures inside were all classified. Each category occupied a sub-hall. There were weapons and equipment, elixirs, spiritual herbs, ores, and so on. There were also some eunuchs in the imperial treasury. These eunuchs were responsible for cleaning and guarding the treasures in the imperial treasury. Of course, these eunuchs were basically not allowed to go out. They had to eat, drink, and defecate in the imperial treasury. You, take little brother Yang to choose the treasures. Song Lingwu instructed one of the eunuchs. Then, he turned to the other two eunuchs and said, "The two of you, take 5 emperor weapons and 10 emperor herbs." "Yes, your majesty." Yang Hongwu was led into the imperial treasury by one of the eunuchs. Yang Hongwu did not move at first. Instead, he used his mind to sense. The Fire God dynasty could be considered a decent force. The treasures in the imperial treasury could be said to be piled up like a mountain. However, Yang Hongwu really did not care about ordinary treasures. Yang Hongwu did not even care about emperor weapons and emperor herbs. "Young master." Seeing that Yang Hongwu did not move, the eunuch said softly, "Young master, what kind of treasures do you want? I am very familiar with the imperial treasury. What kind of treasures do you need? You can tell me, and I will take you to choose." Yang Hongwu pointed at a house not far away and said, "What's there?" "Over there. There are some broken and abandoned treasures." The eunuch who led the way replied, "Bring me there." Yang Hongwu felt something. There was a special aura there. This aura was similar. It was the aura of the Dragon Gate. If he could really find a part of the dragon sect, it would be great. He had only found a part of the ancient dragon sect, but it was already very good. In the imperial treasury of the Fire God dynasty, he could feel another aura. If it was really the dragon sect, he would really hit the jackpot this time. Yang Hongwu walked towards the house. The closer he got, the stronger the aura became. Yang Hongwu squinted his eyes. Soon, he found the source of the aura. After taking a closer look, it was a piece of metal. This piece of metal was covered with layers of rust. It looked like a piece of scrap metal. "What is this?" Yang Hongwu asked. Chapter 1333. A shocking change. "What kind of treasure fragment is this? Can you find it?" Yang Hongwu asked. The eunuch shook his head. "I don't know. However, if it is, you should be able to find it here." Yang Hongwu sighed. If there were other fragments of the Dragon Gate here, he would be able to sense them. However, he could not sense any of them. Hence, there were no other fragments of the Dragon Gate here. Yang Hongwu was disappointed. He held the Dragon Gate fragment in his hand. "Young master, please give up the fragment and follow me there. The real treasure is inside," the eunuch said. "No need." Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, "I'll take this fragment. Although I don't know what it is, I'll take it since it is fated to be with me. Who knows? I might be able to find the real treasure one day." "Young master, you... All right, let's go out now." Yang Hongwu smiled and walked out. Soon, Yang Hongwu arrived at the exit. At this moment, Song Lingwu was already waiting there. There were 2 eunuchs beside him. The 2 eunuchs had boxes placed beside them. Within the boxes, there were treasures. "Young master, you've chosen. What treasure is it?" Song Lingwu asked when he saw Yang Hongwu coming out. He did not think that Yang Hongwu would secretly choose a few more treasures. Hence, he was not worried. He was just curious about what treasure Yang Hongwu had chosen. "Your Majesty, young Master Yang chose a useless fragment," the eunuch said. Yang Hongwu did not mind and took out the fragment. "I found this unknown fragment in your Majesty's treasure vault. I felt that it was fated to be with me, so I chose it." Song Lingwu heaved a sigh of relief in his heart when he saw that Yang Hongwu did not pick out any peerless treasures. However, he said, "Congratulations, little brother Yang. This fragment should be a fragment of a treasure that our ancestors obtained in the ancient dragon territory. However, that treasure has been lost. However, I believe that little brother will definitely be able to find that treasure." "Thank you, your Majesty, for your kind words." Yang Hongwu smiled faintly. "Ah, well said, well said. Little brother, please take a look. These are the treasures that I promised you. There are 5 emperor weapons here. Each of them is a powerful treasure that my Fire God dynasty has collected. As for these, they are emperor medicines. These emperor medicines have been collected by my Fire God dynasty for many years," said Song Lingwu. Yang Hongwu did not spend too much time looking at the monarch weapons and herbs. He simply put them away. "Thank you, your Majesty, for your generosity. These emperor weapons and emperor medicines are of great help to me." To Yang Hongwu, the Emperor weapons could increase the power of the destruction, Heavenly Palace, and Dragon Gate. As for these Emperor medicines, they could be used to concoct pills that could increase one's cultivation. After all, Emperor medicines were not cabbages. They were not easy to obtain. Yang Hongwu could concoct quite a number of Emperor medicines with 10 Emperor medicines in one go. Now that Yang Hongwu had obtained the red karmic fire lotus, it was much easier for him to concoct Emperor medicines. With these 10 Emperor medicines, Yang Hongwu could concoct Emperor medicines that could allow his cultivation to reach the great saint realm in a short time. Young Master Yang, let's go now, Song Lingwu said. All right, Yang Hongwu nodded. When they arrived at the entrance of the imperial treasury, they felt a majestic aura. An astonishing pressure pressed down on Yang Hongwu. Song Lingwu was instantly sent flying by an overbearing force. Umph. Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. His aura froze, and he stood still like a mountain. Outside the imperial treasury, the chief consecrator's face changed when he saw His Majesty being thrown out. He asked, "Your Majesty, are you all right?" Song Lingwu's face changed. He smiled bitterly and said, "Something happened. The ancestral spirit has appeared. I'm afraid young Master Yang is in danger." Sigh. Steward Lang sighed and said, "I'm afraid the ancestral spirit is angry. Young Master Yang is in great danger." Steward Lang, you should have a way to save young Master Yang, right? Bai Yunjian quickly asked. He did not want anything to happen to Yang Hongwu. If Yang Hongwu died in the imperial treasury, it would be troublesome. Steward Lang, is there no way to save young Master Yang? Although Song Lingwu hoped that Yang Hongwu would die in the treasury, he would be able to keep the treasures. However, if Yang Hongwu really died in the treasury, Bai Yunjian and the Sky Sword sect would definitely not let the matter rest. Now that the Fire God dynasty had just experienced the betrayal of the sect king, the strength of the Fire God dynasty was much weaker than before. If they were to go against the Sky Sword sect, the Fire God dynasty would really be in danger. There's no way. The entire imperial treasury has been sealed by the ancestral spirit. We have no way to enter it. Steward Lang said, "We can only hope that the ancestral spirit will not kill young Master Yang. Otherwise, young Master Yang's life will be in danger. No, we can't let anything happen to Junior Brother Yang. If anything happens to Junior Brother Yang, don't blame the Sky Sword sect for being impolite." Bai Yunjian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. My sect's old ancestors have already come out of seclusion and are on their way to the Fire God dynasty. If I'm not wrong, the old ancestors should arrive in half a day. Song Lingwu's face changed when he heard that. He hurriedly said, "Don't worry, young Master Yang will be fine." Now, Song Lingwu was really anxious. If something happened to Yang Hongwu, the Fire God dynasty would really fall into a huge crisis. This crisis would probably be the biggest crisis for the Fire God dynasty. Steward Lang, you must have a way to get young Master Yang out, right? Song Lingwu looked at Steward Lang. I don't care what method you use, you must open the Imperial Treasury's gate and let young Master Yang out safely. Steward Lang took a deep breath and said, "Now, there's only one way to stop the ancestral spirit from attacking young Master Yang." What way? Song Lingwu and Bai Yunjian hurriedly asked. Worship the ancestral spirit. Worship the ancestral spirit? Is it too late now? High Consecrator Huadanzi asked. I hope young Master Yang can hold on a little longer, Steward Lang said. Men, quickly set up the altar for me. I want to worship the ancestral spirit, Song Lingwu said loudly. In an instant, the entire imperial palace became busy. After a while, someone set up the altar and Song Lingwu began to worship the ancestral spirit. By the ancestral spirit, the 16th emperor of the Fire God dynasty, Song Lingwu. Before Song Lingwu could finish his words, the entire altar table turned into dust. Song Lingwu was also pushed back by the tyrannical power and suffered heavy injuries. Chapter 1334. Devour, how could this be? What happened? Bai Yunjin asked. Song Lingwu was helped up at this time. He was very confused. He didn't expect that such a thing would happen when he was worshipping the ancestors. He was very familiar with this power. It was the power of the ancestors of the Fire God dynasty. What had provoked the ancestor's spirit and made it so angry? If he had only given the 5 emperor weapons and 10 emperor medicines to Yang Hongwu, such a thing would definitely not have happened. Could it be that Yang Hongwu had taken other things from the treasury? However, this was also impossible. Yang Hongwu was under his surveillance. Although he didn't follow Yang Hongwu, he clearly saw what Yang Hongwu did in the treasury. However, why was the ancestor's spirit so angry? Why was it so furious? At this time, Yang Hongwu was facing the ancestor's spirit in the Fire God dynasty. This so-called ancestor spirit was made up of countless spirit bodies. One of them was very powerful. Yang Hongwu discovered that this spirit body was actually the dragon vein spirit of the Fire God dynasty. Little bastard, quickly release my body. The dragon vein spirit glared at Yang Hongwu and shouted angrily. Yang Hongwu naturally knew what the dragon vein spirit meant. This was because Yang Hongwu had set up a formation in the Fire God Palace. This formation used the dragon vein spirit of the Fire God dynasty as the formation core, as the source of energy. Therefore, it was normal for the dragon vein spirit to be so angry. Do you think it's possible? Yang Hongwu chuckled. What kind of joke was this? Wasn't removing the formation courting death? Yang Hongwu was very clear about what was trapped in the formation. If the formation was removed, wouldn't it be the same as releasing the so-called Fire God? That would definitely be a huge threat to Yang Hongwu. Although the Fire God was only an incarnation and not the original body, the strength of this incarnation was definitely equivalent to an invincible great emperor. It was even stronger than an ordinary invincible great emperor. With Yang Hongwu's current strength, there was no way he could contend against it. Therefore, no matter what, Yang Hongwu couldn't give up the formation and release that guy. One had to know that Yang Hongwu had taken that guy's red karmic fire lotus, which was the fire lotus. No one knew how important the fire lotus was in that guy's heart better than Yang Hongwu. In order to obtain the red karmic fire lotus, he would do anything. It was even possible that he would destroy the entire mortal continent. Therefore, he couldn't give up the formation. Not only that, after he recovered his strength to the Great Saint Realm, he had to find a way to strengthen the formation. He couldn't let the incarnation pass the news to the Divine Realm. Otherwise, the Fire God's original body would receive the news and descend. At that time, Yang Hongwu wouldn't have the confidence to deal with that guy's original body. Although Yang Hongwu knew that coming to the mortal continent from the Divine Realm with his original body would definitely cost him a lot, that guy would definitely not care about that little prize for the red karmic fire lotus. After all, if he really refined the red karmic fire lotus, that little price was nothing at all. He could easily recover. Moreover, he could break through to a higher realm. If you don't release the formation, I will kill you, the dragon vein spirit said angrily. The other ancestral spirits of the Fire God dynasty also stared at Yang Hongwu angrily. Kid, you're not a member of our Fire God dynasty. If you release the formation honestly, we might spare your life. Otherwise, you will die here. They were also very angry. As the experts of the Fire God dynasty, they were able to survive because of the nourishment of the dragon vein. Without the dragon vein and the Fire God dynasty, they would disappear. Now, the dragon vein was controlled by someone and was set up into a formation. How could they not be angry? Do you think I will be afraid? Yang Hongwu laughed. If you guys have a physical body, I would be a little afraid. However, you guys are just spiritual bodies now. You guys are too arrogant and naive to want to deal with me. I will give you guys a chance. If you know what's good for you, retreat immediately, open the door, and send me out. Otherwise, all of you will die and be refined by me and become my spiritual power. Hearing Yang Hongwu's words, the dragon vein spirit and the ancestral spirits of the Fire God dynasty were all furious. A Saint Realm cultivator. Even though they were merely spirits now, a Saint Realm cultivator was still like an ant. Yet now, this ant was actually so arrogant and even dared to threaten them. It made all of them furious to the extreme. They were emperors when they were alive, and they were lofty existences that stood at the pinnacle of their kingdoms. Now, they were actually threatened by Yang Hongwu. One could imagine how angry they were. Damn it, you deserve to die. one of the ancestral spirits roared. He turned into a black light and rushed towards Yang Hongwu. His strength was definitely comparable to a mid-Great Emperor Realm expert's full-strength attack. Good timing, Yang Hongwu shouted. Since they had attacked, then they should not blame him for being merciless. Apart from the dragon vein spirit, he could devour and refine the rest of the spiritual bodies. A huge vortex appeared in Yang Hongwu's hand. Ancient runes appeared, and a terrifying devouring force burst out. This devouring power devoured the attack of the ancestral spirit in an instant. Then the ancestral spirit was pulled into the vortex and turned into pure energy. Yang Hongwu's cultivation increased a little. Although he did not break through to the next realm, he was not far from it. After devouring another ancestral spirit, he would be able to break through the bottleneck and break through to the next realm. 16. Seeing the ancestral spirit being devoured, the rest of the ancestral spirits were shocked. The vortex made them feel a terrifying threat. Those runes made them even more terrified. Demon, you demon, how dare you cultivate such a terrifying demonic technique? You deserve to die. You're unforgivable. One of the ancestral spirits shouted. You're having a good time, aren't you? Yang Hongwu squinted his eyes and clenched his hand. The demon devouring rune moved again. A majestic, devouring force locked onto the ancestral spirit and pulled it over. The ancestral spirit struggled continuously, trying to break free from the demon devouring rune. However, it was futile. There was no way for him to break free from the demon devouring rune. Chapter 1335. Subduing the dragon vein spirit after devouring the two spiritual bodies. Yang Hongwu's cultivation had made a breakthrough from Saint Realm 4th Heaven to Saint Realm 5th Heaven. Everyone, let's attack together and kill this demon. The dragon vein spirit shouted when he saw that the situation was not good. If we don't kill him, we'll all die. All the spiritual bodies charged towards Yang Hongwu in a frenzy. They knew that Yang Hongwu could devour spiritual bodies. If they attacked him one by one, they would not be a match for him and would definitely die. Therefore, they had to attack him together in order to have a chance. Naive. Yang Hongwu chuckled. He did not care about the spiritual bodies charging towards him. They were all spiritual bodies and would not be able to withstand a single blow from the demon devouring runes. Before the spiritual bodies could react, they were devoured by the demon devouring runes and turned into pure energy that allowed Yang Hongwu's cultivation to rise continuously. Saint Realm 6th Heaven, Saint Realm 7th Heaven. After devouring all the ancestral spirits, Yang Hongwu's cultivation had reached the peak of Saint Realm 7th Heaven. He was only a step away from Saint Realm 8th Heaven. If Yang Hongwu devoured the spirit of the dragon vein, he was confident that he could raise his cultivation level to the peak of the Saint Realm. In fact, if he devoured all of the dragon vein's power, his cultivation level might even reach the great Saint Realm. However, if he devoured the dragon vein spirit and the dragon vein spirit, he would release the fire god. After all, Yang Hongwu was not completely confident. Therefore, it was better to be conservative. Seal! Yang Hongwu bellowed, and a talisman flew out, sealing the spirit of the dragon vein in an instant. Damn demon! What are you trying to do? The spirit of the dragon vein said furiously. He realized that Lin Fan's strength was terrifying. Although Lin Fan seemed to be in the Saint Realm, his combat strength was terrifying. Otherwise, he would not have been able to set up such a powerful formation to control his body. You want to die? Yang Hongwu looked at the dragon vein spirit and said, If you really want to die, then I will fulfill your wish. I will devour you and turn you into my energy. Your dragon vein energy is much stronger than theirs. I presume my strength should recover to the peak of the Saint Realm once I devour you. Perhaps I'll even be able to break through the shackles of the peak of the Saint Realm and enter the eminent Saint Realm. The spirit of the dragon vein was shocked when it heard Zhang Xian's words. It suddenly recalled that Zhang Xian's cultivation had only risen to the 7th level of the Saint Realm after devouring so many ancestor spirits. If it were any other disciples of the Song clan, Even the weakest ancestor spirit would be able to boost their cultivation by leaps and bounds. Even if they weren't able to break through to the Emperor realm, they would at least be able to reach the peak of the Great Saint realm. Most of them would be able to break through to the Emperor realm. However, the guy in front of him had devoured so many ancestor souls, but his cultivation base had only increased by a few minor levels. He hadn't even reached the Great Saint stage. Terrifying, truly terrifying. He said that his cultivation base had recovered. Could it be that he was the reincarnation of a peerless expert? Yes, that was the only possibility. If he wasn't the reincarnation of a peerless expert, he wouldn't have dared to provoke an existence like the Fire God and even sealed him in the Fire God Palace. How bold would he have to be to take action against a Fire God? Even if this guy's original strength couldn't be compared to the Fire God, it shouldn't be too weak. What do you want? The spirit of the dragon vein asked. He was merely the dragon vein of the Fire God dynasty. He had only gained sentience many years after the Fire God dynasty was established. Although the Fire God dynasty was his foundation, he wouldn't care about the Fire God dynasty if he lost his life. Nothing much. In fact, you only need to know that I won't release your original body. You're still useful to me. Otherwise, I would have devoured you long ago. The spirit of the dragon vein is very rare, Yang Hongwu said. However, I need you to be the spirit of the array to imprison the so-called Fire God. It wasn't that Yang Hongwu didn't want to devour the spirit of the dragon vein. However, without the spirit of the dragon vein, the power of the array would be much weaker. It probably wouldn't be able to trap the incarnation of the Fire God for long. Therefore, Yang Hongwu wanted to subdue the spirit of the dragon vein and make him the spirit of the array to guard this place and seal the incarnation of the Fire God. However, if he didn't know what was good for him, then there was no need for the spirit of the dragon vein to exist. Yang Hongwu would choose to erase his sentience. In this way, Yang Hongwu would suffer a great loss. However, it was still better than this guy being disobedient and causing trouble for him. You want me to become the spirit of the array? The spirit of the dragon vein was furious. The spirit of the array meant that he would be controlled by Yang Hongwu for the rest of his life, just like the weapon spirit. In reality, the spirit of the array was even more pitiful than the weapon spirit. Why? You don't want to? Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. If you don't want to, then I can only destroy you. You? All right, I promise you. The spirit of the dragon vein didn't want to die. Looking at the cold light in Yang Hongwu's eyes and the terrifying demon devouring mark, he knew that if he dared to refuse, Yang Hongwu would definitely not let him go. He was unwilling to die. It wasn't easy for him to gain sentience. How could he be willing to die? Seeing that the spirit of the dragon vein had surrendered, Yang Hongwu heaved a sigh of relief. He continued, "You don't have to be sad. When my cultivation recovers, I will return you your freedom and give you a great opportunity." A slap and a carrot. How could Yang Hongwu not use such a method? Although the spirit of the dragon vein had gained sentience, he was still an antique and a sly old fox. However, the spirit of the dragon vein was in despair now. There was no hope at all. However, Yang Hongwu's words gave him hope, a hope that he could regain his freedom. How could he give up? At this moment, the spirit of the dragon vein was grasping at straws in despair. How could he give up? Is what you said true? You will set me free in the future? The spirit of the dragon vein quickly asked. Yang Hongwu nodded. That's right. If I recover my strength, I won't have to worry about the so-called Fire God. When the time comes, I will return your freedom. It's nothing. I hope you will keep your promise. The spirit of the dragon vein stared at him. Then, a ray of light flew out from the spirit of the dragon vein and turned into a small dragon. Yang Hongwu formed a seal with both of his hands. A contract was drawn into the small dragon, then into the body of the spirit of the dragon vein. This is... After the contract was successful, the spirit of the dragon vein widened his eyes. You are... Chapter 1336. Fire Emperor Fist, don't worry, Master. I will not let that guy break out of the formation. The dragon vein spirit nodded. Here's a skill that can allow you to materialize a physical body. If you cultivate it to the maximum, you'll be able to materialize a true body of a true dragon. Yang Hongwu stretched out his hand, and a beam of light entered the forehead of the spirit of the dragon vein. The dragon vein spirit was overjoyed. Condensing the body of a true dragon was something he yearned for even in his dreams. Yang Hongwu was actually willing to give him such a precious cultivation method, which made him pleasantly surprised. "Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master." The dragon vein spirit kowtowed to express his gratitude. "All right, as long as you can seal the fire god incarnation for me within this period of time, that will be the best way to show your gratitude." Yang Hongwu calculated the time and guessed that by Yunjian and the others were worried about him. He then said to the dragon vein spirit, "Send me out." "Yes, Master." The dragon vein spirit released a force that wrapped around Yang Hongwu and sent Yang Hongwu out. "Remember, don't expose our relationship," Yang Hongwu said to the dragon vein spirit before he was sent out. "Yes, Master." Outside the treasury, by Yunjian, Hu Danzi and the others were attacking the treasury's gate crazily. However, the Fire God Dynasty's treasury's defense was strong, and it was supported by a formation. Although they were strong, they still couldn't break the treasury's gate. In fact, Song Lingwu's heart was bleeding as he watched the crowd bombarding the door of the treasury. However, it was impossible to not blast the door open. When the old ancestor of the Sky Sword sect arrived, there would be an earth-shattering battle. He was afraid that the entire Fire God Dynasty would be destroyed at that time. Therefore, compared to the future of the Fire God Dynasty, the treasury was nothing. If it was destroyed, it could be rebuilt. If Yang Hongwu died in the treasury, how could the Fire God Dynasty withstand the wrath of the Sky Sword sect? What's that? When they were attacking the treasury's gate, they felt a wave of energy. They immediately became alert and prepared to attack. When they saw who it was, they were overjoyed. Bai Yunjian was the first to step forward. "Junior Brother Yang, it's great that you're all right. I was so worried." "Little Brother Yang, what's going on here?" Wadanzi asked as he approached Yang Hongwu. "Little Brother Yang, what happened? How'd you get trapped inside?" Song Lingwu was relieved when he saw Yang Hongwu come out safely. However, he was also very curious about what Yang Hongwu had experienced inside. How did he get trapped by the ancestral spirit? Moreover, he was now safe and sound. This was what he was curious about. After all, he had felt the anger of the ancestral spirit when he was worshipping the ancestral spirit. Even the altar had been destroyed by the ancestral spirit. It would be strange if nothing major happened. However, Yang Hongwu had returned safe and sound. He was not injured at all. Yang Hongwu smiled and said, "I've made everyone worried. Actually, I didn't encounter any major problems. However, I did obtain some inheritance." "Obtain some inheritance?" Song Lingwu's eyes widened. The shock in his eyes was self-evident. How could an outsider without the royal bloodline obtain an inheritance? This wasn't the fire shrine, but the national treasury and the land of ancestral spirits. Did he obtain the inheritance by entering the land of ancestral spirits? It was no wonder that the ancestral spirit was so angry. It turned out that Yang Hongwu had entered the land of ancestral spirits by accident. Now, Song Lingwu somewhat understood why Yang Hongwu had been trapped in there and angered by the ancestral spirit, but was now able to come out safely. Could it be that Yang Hongwu had the royal bloodline? If it wasn't for this, how could he have come out safely? How could he obtain the inheritance? "What inheritance did you obtain?" Song Lingwu asked Yang Hongwu. "Fire Emperor Fist." Yang Hongwu condensed his spiritual power and punched out. A majestic flame energy burst out. The power was shocking. Yang Hongwu's punch instantly created a hole in the ground. The scorching temperature was too terrifying. The ground did not explode, but a fist-sized hole appeared. It could be seen how terrifying the control of the power of this punch was. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Creating a large hole in the ground was not a rare thing, nor was there any difficulty in doing so. However, a punch created a hole in the ground, but there was no damage to the surroundings. This was terrifying. The power did not leak out at all. It was so domineering. Song Lingwu was shocked when he saw this fist technique. Fire Emperor Fist. Only the Fire Emperor Fist could do this. The Fire Emperor Fist was the secret technique of the Fire God dynasty. Even he had only obtained a part of the inheritance. The complete Fire Emperor Fist had not been passed down for many years. In fact, in the Fire God dynasty, Zhong Wang had a high chance of obtaining the complete Fire Emperor Fist inheritance. However, Zhong Wang started a rebellion. Otherwise, the land of ancestral spirits would open again a year later. The entire Fire God dynasty's royal family would be qualified to enter. The chances of Zhong Wang obtaining the complete Fire Emperor Fist inheritance were very high. Huadanzi was also dumbfounded. Yang Hongwu actually obtained the inheritance of the Fire Emperor Fist. This was unbelievable. The Fire Emperor Fist was a technique that only the royal family of the Fire God dynasty could cultivate. Without the royal bloodline of the Fire God dynasty, it was impossible to cultivate it, let alone obtain the inheritance. However, Yang Hongwu did it. Could it be that he was a descendant of one of the kings of the Fire God dynasty? Cough, cough, little brother Yang. You were able to obtain the inheritance of the Fire Emperor Fist and successfully cultivate it. Could it be that your ancestor has the royal bloodline of the Fire God dynasty? Could it be that you are a descendant of one of the ancestors of the Fire God dynasty? Song Lingwu suddenly recalled something. A few thousand years ago, a peerless genius of the Fire God dynasty had indeed gone missing. That peerless genius of bloodline was very strong, and his talent was very strong. He was even stronger than the founding emperor of the Fire God dynasty. Could it be that Yang Hongwu was the descendant of that peerless genius? Yes, it must be so. This was the only explanation. He must be a descendant of that ancestor. Thinking of this, Song Lingwu was very happy. He was very clear about Yang Hongwu's talent and strength. Chapter 1337. What a blunder. If Yang Hongwu knew what Song Lingwu was thinking, he would definitely burst out laughing. This was a blunder. He had nothing to do with the Song family. Is that true? I heard that the Fire God dynasty once had a peerless genius. However, that peerless genius left the Fire God dynasty to explore the world. If little brother Yang is really the descendant of that peerless genius, then it's not surprising that little brother Yang could obtain the inheritance of the Fire Emperor Fist from the ancestral spiritual land. Huadanzi said. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, "That's not the case. I have nothing to do with the Fire God dynasty." Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Without the bloodline of the Fire God dynasty's ancestors, it's impossible to obtain the inheritance of the ancestral spiritual land. It's even more impossible to cultivate the Fire Emperor Fist. This fist technique can only be used by the imperial family of the Fire God dynasty. Song Lingwu said, "Moreover, only those with pure bloodline can cultivate it to the extreme. Think whatever you want." Yang Hongwu didn't care about this at all. He wouldn't stay in the Fire God dynasty for long. Now that he had obtained what he wanted, it was time to leave the Fire God dynasty. Of course, when he recovered his strength and had enough power to deal with the so-called Fire God, Yang Hongwu would come again and kill that so-called Fire God. After all, that guy would be a disaster if he stayed. Who knows when he would break out of the seal? At that time, his real body would descend, and he would be a great threat to Yang Hongwu. Haha, I didn't expect that the heavens would open their eyes. Another peerless genius would appear in the Fire God dynasty. Song Lingwu laughed and was very happy in his heart. Man, give my orders. Today, I want to grant amnesty and invite all the officials to a banquet. Yang Hongwu was speechless. Huadanzi shouted, "Congratulations, Your Majesty. Congratulations. Your Majesty, I've gotten what I wanted. It's time to leave," Yang Hongwu said. "How can that be? Little brother, although I don't know your seniority, in the future, you'll be the divine martial king of the Fire God dynasty." Song Lingwu said, "Even if you want to leave, there's no hurry." Huadanzi was shocked when he heard this. King Shenwu was not a title that could be casually used. Bai Yunjian was also shocked. Just like the Heavenly Sword sect, the word sword wasn't something that could be casually given. In the Heavenly Sword sect, only the geniuses with outstanding talent in the Sword Dao were qualified to be given the word sword. As for the others, if they were to be given the word sword, it would be very troublesome. If they couldn't bear the word sword, it would be difficult for them to advance further in the future. Of course, if he could withstand it, then his fate would improve further. Fate might seem ethereal, but was something that truly existed. No need. Yang Hanwu didn't care about being called King Shinwu. He turned to Song Lingwu, Hu Danzi, and the others and said, "I'm leaving today. I'm going to the blazing divine mountain. Junior brother Yang, there's no hurry. The sect's old ancestor is already on his way. He'll be here soon. Let's wait for a while," Bai Yunjian said. Yang Hanwu shook his head and said, "We can't wait. Senior brother Bai, you wait here for the sect's old ancestor. I'll go to the blazing divine mountain first." After saying that, Yang Hongwu turned into nothingness and disappeared from everyone's sight. Seeing this, Bai Yunjian and the others were stunned. This was especially true for Hu Danzi, who was at the peak of the great emperor realm. His mental strength was extremely strong, but he couldn't see how Yang Hongwu had disappeared at all. This was too shocking. What a powerful escape technique. Too powerful. At this moment, Bai Yunjian finally understood why Yang Hongwu was so calm after sending Bai Iran and the Violet Phoenix away. It was as if he wasn't worried at all no matter how big of a problem he faced. It turned out that not only did he have formations and pills, he also had such a terrifying escape technique. One had to know that only experts who had surpassed the level of invincible great emperors could escape without him noticing. Such an escape technique could only be done by experts who had surpassed the level of invincible great emperors. Since Junior Brother Yang has left, then I should leave too. Bai Yunjian looked at Song Lingwu and Hu Danzi and said, "Your Majesty, Senior, let's part here. I'm going to the blazing divine mountain to find Junior Brother Yang." "Wait, let the head consecrated go with you," Song Lingwu said. "Your Majesty, if I leave, what will happen to your safety?" Hu Danzi asked worriedly. "Don't worry. No one can touch me in the palace." Song Lingwu smiled and said casually, "Indeed, as the emperor of the Fire God dynasty, as long as he met an enemy he couldn't defeat in the palace, he could use the power of the country's fate to raise his cultivation and suppress the enemy. All right, I'll go with Junior Brother Bai to the blazing divine mountain." Hu Danzi nodded. After Yang Hongwu and the others left, the eyes of the old man who was sweeping the floor of the National Treasury flashed. "Blazing divine mountain?" The old man muttered these words and then disappeared. No one knew that the old man who was sweeping the floor of the palace had disappeared. A few hours later, blazing divine mountain. At this moment, Yang Hongwu released Bai Iran. As for Zifeng Wang, she realized that she wasn't strong enough and had received the Fusang Divine wood from Yang Hongwu. Therefore, Zifeng Wang didn't come out of the space of the Dragon Gate. Instead, she continued to cultivate in the space of the Dragon Gate. "It's so hot. There's still some distance to the blazing divine mountain. I didn't expect it to be so hot." Bai Iran and Yang Hongwu looked at a tall mountain in the distance. That mountain looked like a huge ball of fire that was burning fiercely. The two of them were still some distance away from the blazing divine mountain. However, there wasn't any greenery on the road. It was too hot and dry. As a result, there weren't many plants that could survive within 100 miles of the blazing divine mountain. There were, but only a few that could withstand the heat. In such a scorching place, there weren't many plants. Animals were no exception. The only ones that could survive in this area were some savage beasts and fire-based exotic beasts. Along the way, Yang Hongwu encountered a few exotic beasts. They were all fire-based exotic beasts, such as the raging fire scorpion, fire viper, fire lizard, and so on. They were all exotic beasts that could withstand the heat. Suddenly, Yang Hongwu felt a cool breeze. This surprised Yang Hongwu. The closer they got to the blazing divine mountain, the higher the temperature. Yang Hongwu actually felt a cool breeze in front of them. How could Yang Hongwu not be surprised? Chapter 1338. Cold poison Yang Hongwu pulled Bai Iran along. Their figures flashed, and in the blink of an eye, they appeared at the shady place. Yang Hongwu looked in front of him and was incomparably astonished. This was actually a small pool. The yin qi was coming from this small pool. What made Yang Hongwu even more surprised was that there didn't seem to be any signs of life here. This made people suspicious. In such a hot place, there was a small pool. In such a cool place, there were no other creatures. How could this not be surprising? Logically speaking, there was a small pool here. The surrounding creatures and animals would come here to cool off and get water. However, there was no trace of animal activity here. There were no creatures around. How could Yang Hongwu not be curious? This small pool is a little strange, Bai Yiran said. Be careful. Yang Hongwu nodded and said, this place is indeed a bit strange. There's no trace of animal activity. There's almost no trace of life. You wait here. I'll go take a look and see what's going on. If only Mao was here. With Mao delusion breaker eyes, he could easily find out what was going on in the spring water. No, let's go together, Bai Yiran said. All right. Yang Hongwu and Bai Yiran had long been telepathically connected. Bai Yiran's gaze was enough for Yang Hongwu to know what she was thinking. Bai Yiran held Yang Hongwu's hand. Yang Hongwu nodded and walked towards the small pool with Bai Yiran. To Yang Hongwu's surprise, the closer he got to the small pool, the lower the temperature became. Even Yang Hongwu felt a slight chill. Shock. Yang Hongwu and Bai Yiran looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. No wonder there were almost no traces of animal activity here. The temperature was very low, and the closer they got, the lower the temperature. Could it be that extreme yang gave birth to yin? If that was the case, they would have picked up a treasure. Extreme yang could produce yin, or extreme yin could produce yang. Both were treasures. However, this wasn't a place of extreme yang. If it was a place of extreme yang, then it would be in the depths of the blazing divine mountain. However, there were divine flames in the depths of the blazing sacred mountain. Thus, it was impossible for an item of extreme yin to appear. Thus, this small pond was indeed extremely strange. However, no matter what, Yang Hongwu wanted to explore the small pond. Regardless of what it was extraordinary. Even if it wasn't an item of extreme yin, it was definitely a treasure. If he could obtain it, it might be of great help to him when he entered the depths of the flaming godly mountain. After all, Bai Yiran had a pure yin sacred body. It would not be as easy for her to enter the depths of the flaming sacred mountain as it had been for Yang Hongwu. Therefore, if she could have an item of extreme yin to protect her, Bai Yiran would be protected while entering the flaming sacred mountain. At the same time, her cultivation would also rise to a higher level. Soon, the two of them arrived less than 3 feet away from the small pool. Strange. Yang Hongwu was even more astonished. The cold yin chi of this small pool was indeed shocking. However, it was different from ordinary treasures of extreme yin. The cold yin chi here had a unique aura. This aura was extremely evil and strange. If one was contaminated by it, unless one was an expert of the late Great Emperor realm or above, one would definitely die. This was why Yang Hongwu was so astonished. Poison, Bai Yiran said. Husband, this should be a kind of cold poison. Yang Hongwu nodded. This was the only possibility. This was a kind of cold poison and not an ordinary cold poison. The cold poison of extreme yin was absolutely terrifying. Yang Hongwu was an alchemist. Naturally, he had studied poisons. Although he had not cultivated the true poison arts, he still had a good understanding of them. Extreme yin cold poison was definitely a terrifying poison. If it exploded, the area within a radius of 10,000 miles would become a land of death. Not even a blade of grass would grow. This kind of cold poison was more terrifying than any other kind of poison. If one could refine this kind of poison, one could definitely become an emperor-grade poison master. Among the 3,000 great Daos, one of them was the poison Dao. Those who cultivated the poison Dao were extremely terrifying. They were comparable to those who cultivated the death Dao. In fact, the poison Dao and the death Dao came from the same source. It could be said that the poison Dao was a branch of the death Dao. However, if one cultivated this branch to the peak and obtained an unparalleled poison, it would be extremely terrifying. In the early stage, those who cultivated the poison Dao and comprehended the poison Dao were even more terrifying than those who cultivated the death Dao. The cold poison here was very likely to be extreme yin cold poison. If there was someone who cultivated the poison Dao or a poison master who could refine it, they would probably become an unparalleled poison master. Iran, you're right. This should be a kind of cold poison. Moreover, it's an extremely powerful cold poison. However, this cold poison has not matured yet. Yang Hongwu said, however, if this thing can be used well, it would be a great killing weapon. When Yang Hongwu said this, his eyes flashed with a trace of light. To Yang Hongwu, there was nothing taboo. To him, demonic weapons, evil weapons, poison weapons, or the so-called evil arts, Yang Hongwu did not hate them too much. No matter what it was, if it was used for good, it would be good. If it was used for evil, it would be evil. Are you confident? Bai Iran asked. Yang Hongwu said, I can give it a try. Yang Hongwu was not a poison master. He did not have enough confidence to refine the extreme, cold poison. However, Yang Hongwu had the antidote in his hand and the protection of the divine fire. He was still somewhat confident. The cold poison in the pool probably had not reached the level where it could become extremely powerful. It had not formed intelligence yet. If it did, it would be terrifying. Even so, Yang Hongwu did not dare to be careless. Ichi and San Xing come out. As Yang Hongwu shouted, Yang Hongwu waved his hand. An incarnation appeared beside him. This was the I Chi into San Xing's secret technique that Yang Hongwu had obtained. Although this incarnation did not have Yang Hongwu's full strength, it still had 90% of his combat strength. Yang Hongwu was not the same as before. Although his cultivation had not recovered to its peak, he had a deeper understanding of the I Chi into San Xing technique and other secret techniques than before. When he used them, they were much stronger than before. If they were in the same cultivation realm, they would be several times stronger than before. Yang Hongwu and Bai Iran retreated several feet. The incarnation strode toward the pool. The closer it got, the lower the temperature of the pool. Yang Hongwu's incarnation was about to be frozen. Yang Hongwu even felt that his soul was about to be frozen. Terrifying, extremely terrifying. Chapter 1339. The source of all evil curses, what a terrifying cold poison. Yang Hongwu took a deep breath and said, but it's not enough to stop me. Yang Hongwu's incarnation circulated its dermic powers and instantly dispelled the terrifying cold. Let me see your true face. Yang Hongwu guessed that there must be a powerful cold poison here. Moreover, it must be a cold poison of extreme mean. However, he was not sure what it was exactly. Yang Hongwu's dermic powers condensed into a huge hand and grabbed at the small pool. When the huge hand grabbed at the item in the pool, a powerful force erupted and instantly dispersed the huge hand made of dermic powers. Yang Hongwu was extremely surprised. It was indeed powerful. Saber, come. Yang Hongwu shouted in a low voice. Then he stretched out his big hand, and a saber instantly appeared in his hand. Raging Dragon breaks the sky. With a loud shout, powerful dermic powers poured into the saber. When the saber slashed out, the saber chi was ferocious and domineering. It was like a domineering divine dragon that could destroy all obstacles. The saber chi arrived in an instant. Then, a silver-white force erupted from the pool. It looked like a silver ribbon. The saber chi collided with the silver ribbon, and there was a crack. Crack. Sound. What shocked Yang Hongwu was that his saber was actually frozen. He had to admit that the item in the small pool was beyond his expectations. Husband, there seems to be a great terror in the small pool. Why don't we go around it? Bai Iran said worriedly. I have a bad feeling in my heart. I'm afraid there's an extremely evil item in there. Even if it's an extremely evil item, we still have to give it a try. Yang Hongwu said, don't worry. I have the Scroll of Fortune, the Dragon Gate, and the Destruction Sky Palace. No matter how powerful the evil item is, as long as its strength is not beyond the Great Emperor realm, I can protect myself. Yang Hongwu's incarnation continued to move forward. Yang Hongwu had already brought out the Destruction Sky Palace. The Destruction Sky Palace was a supreme treasure that evolved from the Death Dao Palace. The Death Dao Palace was originally an extremely evil, demonic treasure. Now that Yang Hongwu had merged it with the sky-piercing demon bridge, it had become the Destruction Sky Palace. Its original attribute of power did not change. With the help of the Destruction Sky Palace, Yang Hongwu was no longer worried that the item in the small pool would suddenly erupt. Yang Hongwu knew that it was very dangerous, but there were also great opportunities. He faintly felt that this place was not as simple as the extreme Yin cold poison. If there was something more terrifying than the extreme Yin cold poison, then it would be really terrifying. Could it be a talisman? Yang Hongwu had not obtained a real talisman of the 8 great divine talismans. Among the 8 great divine talismans, there were extreme Yin and extreme Yang divine talismans. If it was a divine talisman, then he would be rich. Of course, Yang Hongwu was just thinking about it. If it was really a divine talisman, how could it be so easy to obtain it? Open for me. Yang Hongwu roared again. A vast energy burst out, instantly breaking through the layers of cold mist. Yang Hongwu focused his eyes and saw an eyeball-like object shooting out a ray of light. In an instant, Yang Hongwu's incarnation was sent flying dozens of meters away. Yang Hongwu withdrew his incarnation with a thought. Did you get a good look? Bai Yiran asked. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks like an eyeball. Yang Hongwu took a deep breath and said, however, its power is very terrifying. I feel that the attack just now was only a small part of its power. Although it was just a glimpse, the eyeball seemed to be engraved in Yang Hongwu's mind. This eyeball was very strange, and there were strange curses on it. The power of curses. The power of all evil curses. This information flashed in Yang Hongwu's mind. I know what it is. Yang Hongwu took a deep breath and said, what is it? Bai Yiran was worried. After all, the attack just now had sent Yang Hongwu's incarnation flying with 90% of its power. Moreover, it was under the protection of the Destruction Sky Palace. It was obvious how terrifying that thing was. Seeing Yang Hongwu's pale face, Bai Yiran's heart ached. That thing seems to be the legendary source of all evil curses, Yang Hongwu said. At the mention of this, Yang Hongwu felt a trace of fear. The power of curses and the source of the most powerful power of all evil curses. How could it not be terrifying? This thing was something that would make one's face pale even in the domain of the gods. Even those who had surpassed the Tai true god realm would have a headache over it. No one would touch this thing. Once touched, even those who had surpassed the Tai true god realm would not be able to remove it. Yang Hongwu had seen the power of curses before. Back then, he had paid a great price to remove the power of curses. Now, facing this thing, Yang Hongwu really did not have enough confidence. Why is there such a terrifying thing here? Bai Yiran's face darkened. Let's leave this place quickly. Otherwise, we will be in trouble if we are entangled by that thing. Bai Yiran had naturally heard of the source of all evil curses. This thing was the most evil and terrifying existence in the Great Thousand World. It was also a malignant tumor of the Great Thousand Universe. Don't worry, Yang Hongwu said, that thing should have been sealed. The power that it can release is less than a billionth of its original power. Yang Hongwu's heart was palpitating. If that thing had not been sealed, he would have been destroyed by that attack. However, Yang Hongwu was not willing to just leave and give up like this. Yang Hongwu was not willing to give up. Although the source of all evil curses was terrifying, now that it had been sealed, its power was less than a billionth of its original power. If he could obtain it and use it to trick others, it would be the best. That thing isn't something that we can handle. I'm afraid that it must have been sealed here by some unparalleled expert. I think it's best that we leave this place. If we were to break the seal in the slightest, I'm afraid this entire world would be finished. Bai Yiran said. Yang Hongwu shook his head slightly. Looking at Yang Hongwu's expression, Bai Yiran said, Husband, don't tell me you still want this thing. Chapter 1340. Bai Yunjian chases after us. Yang Hongwu saw Bai Yiran's worry and knew what she was thinking. He gently patted Bai Yiran's shoulder and said, Yiran, don't worry. I won't do anything I'm not confident in. This seal is very strong. With my current strength, it's impossible for me to destroy it. I'm just trying to see if I can devour this power. If I can, my strength will recover quickly. No, absolutely not. It's too dangerous. I won't agree to it. Bai Ran shook his head and said firmly, "What was the source of all evil curses? Yang Hongwu was such a terrifying existence. How could Bai Ran agree to this? This was too terrifying. If there was even the slightest mistake, the consequences would be unimaginable. Of course, I know the danger, but I'm confident," Yang Hongwu said. "That won't do either. If you dare try to devour that thing, I'll tell all my sisters that I won't bother with you anymore," Bai Iran said. When Yang Hongwu heard this, he was also speechless. Since when did Bai Iran learn to say such things? However, Yang Hongwu knew very well that Bai Iran was doing this for his own good. She was worried about him. After all, the source of all evil and curses was no ordinary thing. Just as Yang Hongwu was about to speak, there was a fluctuation in the void. Yang Hongwu's eyes narrowed. Someone was coming, but at this time and in this place, Yang Hongwu couldn't help but be vigilant. In that instant, Yang Hongwu pulled Bai Iran into his arms and tossed something into the air. Then he formed hand seals and formed a formation that concealed Yang Hongwu, Bai Iran, and the small pond. After the space squirmed for a while, several figures appeared. When Yang Hongwu saw this, he heaved a sigh of relief. The newcomers were none other than Bai Yunjian and Huodanzi. Of course, there were also a few elders that Yang Hongwu didn't recognize. However, the auras of these elders were extremely powerful. One of them was a tall and skinny elder with black hair. His cultivation was the strongest, even stronger than Huodanzi's. He was probably only a step away from becoming an invincible great sovereign expert. However, a single step was just a single step. There was still a huge gap between his strength and that of an invincible emperor. There were 3 of them in total. Including Huodanzi and Bai Yunjian, there were 5 of them. Yang Hongwu knew that Bai Yunjian and the others had probably come for him. As for the 3 old men, they were probably the old ancestors of the Sky Sword sect. "What's going on?" Bai Yunjian, "Where's the person you were talking about?" the tall and thin old man asked. "Martial ancestor, Junior Brother Yang's aura is clearly here, but we can't see him. I'm afraid Junior Brother Yang has hidden himself." Bai Yunjian smiled bitterly. "Martial ancestor, you may not know this, but Junior Brother Yang is extremely powerful in the Tao of formations. I'm afraid that no one in the common people's continent is more powerful than Junior Brother Yang in the Tao of formations." "Is that true?" the other gray-robed old man asked. "Master, when have I ever lied? I can prove this point." What Danzi said. "Junior Brother, come out." At this time, Bai Yunjian had no other choice. If Yang Hongwu didn't take the initiative to appear, they really wouldn't be able to find Yang Hongwu's existence. Back then, if Yang Hongwu hadn't agreed to become a disciple of the Sky Sword sect and made the Sky Sword sect disciple token recognize him as its master, they really wouldn't have been able to find Yang Hongwu's whereabouts. The Sky Sword sect disciple token that Bai Yunjian gave Yang Hongwu was a very special token. Only the core disciples of the Sky Sword sect and the Sky Sword sect's intersect elders and above could have this token. Normal genius disciples didn't have the qualifications to have this token. The uniqueness of this token was that no matter where the token was, the Sky Sword sect's disciples could use a special secret technique to sense the location of the token. Bai Iran and Yang Hongwu were in the formation. Seeing that Bai Yunjian and the others had arrived, Bai Iran let out a sigh of relief. Since they had arrived, Yang Hongwu wouldn't be able to touch the terrifying source of the cursed evil anymore. "Husband, it's Bai Yunjian and the others. Shouldn't we go out and meet them?" Bai Iran looked at Yang Hongwu and asked. "No, let's observe the situation first. I didn't expect Bai Yunjian and the others to be so powerful. This small token actually made me overlook it. I was very surprised that they could use this token to lock onto my aura and location. He could study this token carefully. If he had such a token or treasure back then, he would have been able to locate the location of the girls easily. It wouldn't have taken him so long to find Bai Iran." Yang Hongwu's consciousness scanned the token and discovered that it was indeed unique. There was actually a tracking formation set up in the depths of the token, as well as a special restriction. This formation and restriction were extremely difficult to refine. It definitely wasn't something that ordinary people could refine. To refine this token, one needed to be at least an invincible great emperor's strength. Moreover, even an invincible great emperor would find it extremely difficult to refine such a token. It would take a very long time to refine one. Therefore, Yang Hongwu guessed that not many people in the Sky Sword sect were qualified to possess this token. The method used to refine this token is indeed astonishing. Bai Yiran took the token and examined it. Although Bai Yiran didn't know as much as Yang Hongwu and wasn't an array master or alchemist, she was definitely more knowledgeable than the average person. If I had such a token back then, I wouldn't have been separated from the girls, Bai Yiran said. Yes, Yang Hongwu also sighed. Junior brother Yang, Grandmaster and Master are here. Junior brother Yang, please show yourself, Bai Yunjian shouted from outside the formation. This little fellow seems a little embarrassed. The tall and thin elder smiled faintly and didn't seem to mind. That little bastard hasn't even been formally accepted into the Sky Sword sect, yet he's already so arrogant. I'll definitely teach him a lesson in the future, the gray-robed elder said. In my opinion, not bad. He has character. He's the most suitable person to be my disciple. The tall and thin elder laughed heartily. I like people like him. He has the same style as I did back then. The gray-robed elder's face darkened. Master, didn't you say that I'm your only disciple and that you won't accept anyone else? Although that kid is a little bastard, it's still better for me to accept him as my disciple. It's the same for you as Grandmaster. Did I say that? The tall and thin elder retorted. The gray-robed elder's face darkened. Even Huidanzi and Bai Yunjian were speechless. This old ancestor was actually acting shamelessly. Chapter 1341. Great change in the flaming sacred mountain. That's right. Yunjian is right. Master, let's find that little fellow first. If anything happens to that little fellow, it will be the greatest loss to our Sky Sword sect. As Bai Yunjian's master and the sect master of the Sky Sword sect, Gue Longping naturally didn't want to see such a monstrous genius fall, especially when this genius had already become a disciple of the Sky Sword sect. Yes, Lian Rinshan nodded. In the Sky Sword sect, he had the highest seniority and was also the strongest. The sect master was his disciple, and the most outstanding Bai Yunjian was his grand disciple. Now that he knew that there was a monstrous genius who was even more outstanding than Bai Yunjian, he was tempted to take him in as his disciple. For a cultivator, it was the happiest thing for a disciple to be stronger than their master. Generally speaking, to a cultivator, there were two things that were very important and occupied an important position in their hearts. The first was cultivation strength, which was unquestionable to any cultivator. The second was inheritance. For a cultivator, no matter how strong or how talented he was, or how many secret techniques, martial skills, or even supreme skills he had invented, it would be a great pain if he did not leave behind succession. As for the inheritance, it was related to the acceptance of a disciple. If one could obtain a good disciple, it would be a rare opportunity for cultivators. For a cultivator, an outstanding disciple was even more important than their own children. Therefore, when he knew that there was a monstrous genius who was even more outstanding than Bai Yunjian joining the Sky Sword sect, he couldn't sit still. When Bai Yunjian joined the sect, he was already tempted. However, Bai Yunjian had become his disciple, Gue Longping's disciple, and became his grand disciple. There was no use regretting it. But now, there was an even more monstrous and heaven-defying genius. How could he not be tempted? One must know that someone who could comprehend the heavenly one-sword formation of the Saint Realm, how monstrous was that? Everyone only knew that the Heavenly Sword sect revered their sword arts. In truth, very few people knew that the Heavenly Sword sect's formations were also incomparably powerful. The most powerful of them all was the sword formation. That was the true foundation of the Heavenly Sword sect. However, countless years had passed, and no one from the Heavenly Sword sect was as outstanding in both the Tao of Sword and the Tao of Formations. There were already monstrous geniuses, and now that one had appeared, how could he give up if there was a need? So what if he had to sacrifice all the Heavenly Sword sect's emperors? This was the value of a peerless genius, a peerless genius. In comparison, the other geniuses were incomparable to them. In the previous Heavenly Sword sect, Bai Yunjian's status was extremely high. Compared to Bai Yunjian, any other genius in the Heavenly Sword sect could be sacrificed. But now, if Yang Hongwu was really as monstrous and outstanding as Bai Yunjian had described, then any other disciple of the Heavenly Sword sect, including Bai Yunjian, or even the sect leader of the Heavenly Sword sect, Gui Longping, could be sacrificed under certain circumstances. However, if Yang Hongwu was really as monstrous and outstanding as he was, yet he was unwilling to become a disciple of the Heavenly Sword sect, then he must be eliminated. He could not be allowed to become a disciple of another sect. Rumble. Just as Yang Hongwu was about to activate the formation and leave, a great change took place all of a sudden. The ground began to tremble as a terrifying earthquake took place. The formation instantly collapsed. Terrifying cracks appeared on the ground. Fierce flames surged out like ferocious beasts bearing their fangs and brandishing their claws. What's going on? Great change in the flaming, godly mountain. What Danzi's expression changed greatly. Why did it have to come now of all times? Great change in the flaming, godly mountain. Damn it, what terrifying flames. Have they become spirits? Gui Longping's expression turned ugly as he looked at the surging flames before him. Brother Hua, is there any way to deal with the situation before us? Could it be that junior brother Yang disappeared because of this great change? Bai Yunjian was thinking of Yang Hongwu at this moment. You must find my disciple, Lian Rinshan said. On the other side, Yang Hongwu had already used the void travel technique. He hugged Bai Yiran and disappeared. However, Yang Hongwu was surprised that his yin-yang void shuttle could only travel a limited distance in the flaming godly mountain. There was no way for him to escape from the area of this great change. However, it was fortunate that he had the void travel technique, which allowed him to escape from the epicenter of the great change. The sudden change shocked Yang Hongwu. Terrifying, too terrifying. The power that erupted from this great change was beyond his imagination. On one side was the source of the extremely evil and poisonous curse of all evil. On the other side was the terrifying flames. The flames were beyond Yang Hongwu's expectations. Originally, Yang Hongwu thought that the most powerful flames here would be the God-destroying heavenly flame and the void divine flame. However, the flames that erupted from this great change were also extremely powerful. In fact, they weren't any weaker than the God-destroying heavenly flame and the void divine flame. What was even more shocking was that the power of the flames had actually merged with the power of the earth. Logically speaking, these two types of powers shouldn't be considered as mutually reinforcing powers. In fact, they might even counter each other. However, who would have thought that these two types of powers would actually merge perfectly, causing the flames to become even more overbearing and terrifying? This was probably the reason why this heavenly flame could contend against the God-destroying heavenly flame and the void divine flame. Master, this flame is too terrifying. It's unstoppable. Gui Longping threw out a treasure that contained the majestic power of the water dragon. The moment the water dragon was thrown out, it evaporated instantly. Gui Longping was terrified. This flame was definitely not an ordinary flame. If it was an ordinary heavenly flame, his water dragon would have been able to extinguish it. However, not only did it not extinguish it, it even evaporated in an instant. This was enough to show how terrifying this flame was. If this flame were to burn one's body, one would probably turn into nothingness within a breath's time. Although he knew that the flaming sacred mountain was terrifying, he had not expected it to be to this extent. It was no wonder that the experts who had entered this place, including the invincible great emperors, couldn't get out and had fallen here. Once one was surrounded by such a terrifying flame, only death would await them. There was no chance of survival. Seeing that his master Lian Rinshan was about to approach the terrifying flame, Gui Longping jumped in fright and shouted, "Master, no, you can't. This flame is extremely terrifying. It's unstoppable. If you touch it, your life will be in danger." Chapter 1342. Terrifying flames. Although Lien Rinshan's sword did not completely destroy the flame, it did force the flame back a little. However, it was only a little. Moreover, it was only a small part of the flame. Compared to the real, terrifying heavenly flame, it was simply insignificant. Retreat. The group of 5 instantly retreated. In a breath's time, they had retreated more than 100 feet. Even so, Gue Longping and the others could still feel the terrifying heat. It was as if they were going to be roasted dry. It's over. This flame is so terrifying. I'm afraid little brother Yang is doomed. Huadanzi looked at the raging flames in front of him and sighed. The flames were too terrifying. Even great emperors like them were powerless in the face of such terrifying flames. Yang Hongwu was only a saint. Therefore, Huadanzi guessed that Yang Hongwu was doomed. The chances of him surviving were not high. Impossible, Lien Rinshan said. Nothing will happen to my disciple. Since he is a peerless genius with great fortune, how can he die here? He is my disciple. He can't die. Lien Rinshan glared at Huadanzi. You little brat. How dare you curse my disciple? Do you believe that I won't kill you? Huadanzi smiled bitterly. He did not expect old Master Lien to be so angry after hearing his words. After all, Lien Rinshan had never seen Yang Hongwu before. However, it made sense. A monstrous genius like Yang Hongwu would be wanted as a disciple. He had wanted to take Yang Hongwu as a disciple. However, he did not expect Yang Hongwu to be so monstrous. In terms of alchemy, Yang Hongwu was much, much stronger than him. It would be more appropriate to take him as a disciple. How could he let Yang Hongwu become his disciple? Wouldn't that be a joke? Martial ancestor, don't worry. Junior brother Yang's aura is still there. However, he has escaped and is not inside. At this moment, Bai Yunjian, who was very worried about Yang Hongwu, heaved a sigh of relief after checking. Yang Hongwu's aura was originally at the center of the exotic flame. However, he was now at the periphery. Realizing this, Bai Yunjian heaved a sigh of relief. Is that so? Haha, I knew my disciple would be fine. Lien Rinshan laughed loudly. Little Yunjian, hurry up and take me to my disciple. Lien Rinshan was a little impatient. This place was too dangerous. He had to find Yang Hongwu and bring him back to the Sky Sword sect. He could not let anything happen to Yang Hongwu. It changed again. Bai Yunjian, who was about to take action, discovered that Yang Hongwu's aura and position had changed again. What's going on? Gue Longping frowned. Yunjian, did something happen again? Bai Yunjian was about to answer when his face suddenly changed. Not good. Junior brother Yang's aura has disappeared. It has completely disappeared. Didn't you just say that my disciple's aura had gone to a safe place in the periphery? How could it disappear all of a sudden? Lien Rinshan's face was ugly. Martial ancestor, this was indeed the case. Junior brother Yang's aura had already gone to a safe place in the periphery. However, his aura changed again, and he went into the depths of the blazing, sacred mountain. Just now, his aura suddenly disappeared. Bai Yunjian smiled bitterly. He also did not know what was going on. The depths of the blazing, sacred mountain? Huadanzi sucked in a breath of cold air. They were only at the periphery of the blazing sacred mountain, and they had already encountered such terrifying flames. If they went into the depths of the blazing sacred mountain, how terrifying would it be? If he went into the depths of the blazing sacred mountain, then it's really, shut up? Lien Rinshan hated Huadanzi's words very much. Don't you have anything good to say? This time, Lien Rinshan was really angry. Senior Lien, actually, little brother Yang is very lucky. Moreover, he is very strong. When he left the Fire God dynasty and came to the blazing sacred mountain, he was very confident. His goal was to subdue the divine flame. I think that nothing will happen to little brother Yang. Who knows? Maybe when little brother Yang comes out, he will have already subdued the divine flame. Huadanzi changed the topic. Why didn't you stop him at that time? Lien Rinshan was very angry. How can a divine flame be subdued so easily? Old brat, you're already a peak great emperor. After so many years, you still haven't subdued the divine flame. How can a little kid like him subdue the divine flame? And you, Bai Yunjian, you little brat. Divine flame, divine flame. Doesn't our Sky Sword sect have another divine flame? That divine flame is useless in the sect. Since no one else can subdue it, why not just give it to him? With our help, the chances of him subduing the divine flame of the Sky Sword sect are very high. Why did you let him come to the blazing sacred mountain? Bai Yunjian had an aggrieved expression as he smiled bitterly and said, Martial ancestor, I told Junior Brother Yang long ago, but he didn't listen. Moreover, Junior Brother Yang's escape technique is unpredictable. I wanted to stop him at that time, but it was simply too late. What Junior Brother Yang? You should call him Martial Uncle, Little Martial Uncle. Lien Rinshan glared at him and said, I hope your little Martial Uncle is safe. If anything happens to him, you'll be grounded for 1,000 years. Bai Yunjian felt wronged. Not only did he lose a generation, but if something happened to Yang Hongwu, he would be grounded for 1,000 years. What kind of situation was this? However, Bai Yunjian hoped from the bottom of his heart that Yang Hongwu could return safely. At this moment, Yang Hongwu didn't know that Lien Rinshan cared so much about him. A person he hadn't even met before was actually so concerned about his safety. At this moment, Yang Hongwu threw the token Bai Yunjian gave him into the space of the Dragon Gate. It would be strange if Bai Yunjian could still sense his aura in the space of the Dragon Gate. It should be known that the ancient Dragon Gate was very powerful. It was an existence that surpassed a true treasure and could compete with a divine talisman. Since the token was thrown into the space of the Dragon Gate, its aura couldn't be transmitted out. Naturally, the tracking array was useless. Yang Hongwu was quite surprised when he knew that Bai Yunjian and the others had come. One should know that the blazing sacred mountain was full of danger. He didn't expect that Bai Yunjian, Danzi, and the others would come to the blazing sacred mountain to look for him. They were risking their lives to come here. Therefore, he was prepared to go out and meet them. He didn't expect that such a big change would happen when he was about to open the array. Chapter 1343. Ninth Grade Fire. Lotus Yang Hongwu had entered the depths of the flaming sacred mountain because he felt threatened. His plan was to refine the god, annihilating heavenly flame and void divine flame first. Then his strength would advance by leaps and bounds, and he might even be able to enter the great saint realm. In that way, his strength would increase, and he would naturally be confident in dealing with the huge change before him. Although he didn't know what was going on with the terrifying flames, Yang Hongwu had a faint guess that this change was probably related to the source of all evil and cursed. I can sense the god annihilating heavenly flame, said Yang Hongwu. Come, let's go. Yang Hongwu and Bai Yiran's figures flashed, and they disappeared once more. In the next moment, they appeared in front of a ball of flame in the depths of the flaming sacred mountain. This ball of flame was very special, and its aura was very strong. However, Yang Hongwu couldn't be more familiar with it. It was the god annihilating heavenly flame that he had refined before. After Yang Hongwu appeared, the god annihilating heavenly flame transformed into a fire dragon and charged towards Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu stretched out his right hand, and a strand of magic power condensed in the void. This strand of magic power instantly merged with the god annihilating heavenly flame, and then Yang Hongwu absorbed the god annihilating heavenly flame into his body. In Yang Hongwu's spiritual sea, the red lotus of karmic fire sensed the aura of the god annihilating heavenly flame, and it immediately came out and madly devoured the energy of the god annihilating heavenly flame. Yang Hongwu didn't stop it. The speed at which the red lotus of karmic fire devoured the god annihilating heavenly flame was shocking, and its aura grew stronger and stronger in the process. Devour it. Yang Hongwu broke into a smile. As the god annihilating heavenly flame was devoured, Yang Hongwu's cultivation rose as well. 8th level Saint Realm. After devouring the god annihilating heavenly flame, Yang Hongwu's cultivation had reached the 8th level Saint Realm. If he devoured the void divine flame as well, his cultivation should be able to break through to the 9th level Saint Realm. Let's go. After devouring the god, destroying heavenly flame, Yang Hongwu ventured deeper. Soon, Yang Hongwu found the void divine flame. He found the location of the nihility divine flame. However, it didn't rush towards Yang Hongwu like the god-slaying heavenly flame. Instead, it condensed into a face, a very ferocious one. Yang Hongwu squinted his eyes. He had not expected the great void divine flame to possess a sliver of intelligence. Furthermore, it was a sliver of evil intent. Scram! Get out of here! The evil face opened its mouth and berated loudly. Nihility divine flame, you'd better come over here. Yang Hongwu coldly snorted. So what if the nihility divine flame had gained sentience? It was naive for a mere strand of evil to think that it could resist his will. Yang Hongwu could faintly feel that the birth of the strand of evil might be related to the great change and the terrifying flame from before. Although he didn't know what had caused such a change, Yang Hongwu had guessed that the flaming sacred mountain was born from the appearance of the god, destroying heavenly flame and the nihility divine flame. However, it seemed that things weren't as simple as they seemed. You deserve to die. The nihility divine flame was enraged. It turned into an evil dragon with a ferocious look. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it pounced towards Yang Hongwu. It wanted to tear Yang Hongwu into pieces and burn him to ashes. The temperature in the surroundings became terrifying. Wherever the evil dragon went, everything turned into nothingness. It was likely that everything would be burned and devoured by the terrifying flames. This was the power of the nihility divine flame. It could burn everything into nothingness. Yang Hongwu wasn't afraid. He curled his lips into a smile. After all, the nihility divine flame was a divine flame that he had refined before. Although it had given birth to a strand of evil, its nature hadn't changed. Moreover, Yang Hongwu had released the red karmic fire lotus. The red karmic fire lotus was already extremely powerful. After devouring the energy of the god, destroying heavenly flame, it became even more powerful. On the other hand, the trace of evil thought that was born from the nihility divine flame was contaminated with karmic power. The red karmic fire lotus was the nemesis of karmic power. All karmic power was the energy of the red karmic fire lotus. Devouring karmic power could make the red karmic fire lotus stronger. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was willing to let the red karmic fire lotus devour the god, destroying heavenly flame and the nihility divine flame. The red karmic fire lotus revealed its true form. It was a huge red lotus. The red karmic fire lotus was much bigger than before. When Yang Hongwu had obtained the red karmic fire lotus, it was only a 6th grade red lotus. After devouring the god, destroying heavenly flame, it became an 8th grade red lotus. Now that it had devoured the nihility divine flame, it was still growing. After devouring more than half of the nihility divine flame, the strength of the red karmic fire lotus increased again. It became a 9th grade red karmic fire lotus and was still growing. However, Yang Hongwu knew that it was impossible for the red karmic fire lotus to reach the 10th grade. After a dozen breaths, the red karmic fire lotus devoured the nihility divine flame completely. Red karmic fire lotus, how much flame energy can you devour? Yang Hongwu asked. Yang Hongwu's cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th heaven saint realm. It was not easy for him to break through the shackles and enter the great saint realm. What puzzled Yang Hongwu was that in the untainted 3 realms, the level 12 golden lotus, the level 12 black lotus, and the level 12 red lotus of hellfire were merely primordial spiritual treasures. But now, after obtaining the red lotus of hellfire and devouring the god-killing heavenly fire and the void divine fire, Yang Hongwu was clear that the level 9 red lotus of hellfire was much more powerful than the level 12 red lotus of hellfire in the untainted 3 realms. However, Yang Hongwu shook his head. Perhaps it was because of the different levels of the planes. The power of law was different and the way of heaven was different. Therefore, the level of strength was also different. Brother, I could devour more. This mountain contains powerful flame, energy, and boundless karma. There's a flame that is more powerful than the 2 flames I devoured just now. If I could devour this flame, I should be able to reach the 12th level, said the red karmic fire lotus. Yang Hongwu was shocked when he heard this. He asked in disbelief, Red karmic fire lotus, is that true? Yes, master. If I devour that flame, I can definitely reach the 12th level, said the red karmic fire lotus firmly. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.